Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 269. Robert's doing the 69 today. We'll be with you after intro music. And check out a few things here. We got Ken with us. Not sure where Susan is. Ooh, what's that noise? Was it you making a scratchy sound? There's a scratchy sound. We got the FMI stuff today. The Farmer Index. CPU's getting up there again. You rat bag. Oh, where's that disappeared to? It's definitely slow. Really slow. 3 people watching, I reckon. We're at 100% CPU. Why? Crazy. I can't make my computer go any faster. That'll come back in a minute, doesn't it? Hello.
Well.
Good to be back, and let's have some fun. No hardcore swearing, misspell words if you have to. No trolling, no advertising, self-promotion. You know the deal. Simple rules. So let's just check the audio and stuff with Robert. So what are we doing today, Robert?
Yeah, the FAA and UFOs. FAA, that's the Federal Aviation Administration. Do they investigate UFOs or not? That leads us on to an event then in the Pacific Northwest in 2017. Interesting incident. Eagle River, close encounter 1961. And the Kaikoura Mountains UFO incident 1978 in New Zealand.
Damn.
Which I thought you'd have told me about by now.
I have actually got some videos up on that.
Okay, good.
Why have I got this pop-up? It won't go away. What's going on here? Yeah, CPU is maxing out. Let's see if it settles down a bit. You did use that special link I gave you, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I kept it on the desktop. Excuse me, I'm full of heat fever.
See, that shouldn't be up there. What brings that up? So this should be a pop over, shouldn't it? Doesn't make any sense. There we go. Right click on it. Yeah, let's just type out the welcome message then. Looks like the CPU's freeing up again. No. I typed some characters. Where's the characters? There they are. That's just terrible. So we're 69 today. 269. And it's FAA. Oh. Federal Air Administration. in UFOs, that'll do.
Yeah, it's aviation administration, but not to worry too much about that.
All right. Who we got joining us? Philip. I'm not sure if we've seen you here before. Philip Blair. Charles. I thought I saw someone else. Ken. So some hardcore followers.
Ken is here,
yeah. Yeah, so there wasn't too much.
Yeah, this with the FAA. Actually, it was Ron who got me onto this. He sent me a message on Discord, and it was about an ex-employee, seemed quite a bit disgruntled, and he was talking about a UFO event that the FAA did indeed investigate. It was quite an interesting video, but don't like to use too much YouTube stuff these days because of the consequences. Anyway, I'll leave the link here because there's a decent development with the FAA, thanks to John Greenwald and the Black Vault. And it'll be his website we'll be going to.
Okay. I don't need that one open. That's for later. What's all that crap coming up? Ooh. Black Vault. Don't think we've been to him on the new setup. So we might have to adjust it. He's got a big banner for some reason. What's going on there? Probably some ads on it, was it? Okay.
In the ads, just need to get down to the text bar.
Yep.
FAA denies tracking UFOs, publishes database containing UFO sightings.
We'll see how it goes.
There we go.
By John Greenwald, Jr., The Black Vault, originally published December 11, 2019, updated April 21, 2020. Based on the recent admission by the U.S. Navy that it investigates encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, more commonly referred to as unidentified flying objects, UFOs, the Black Vault attempted to identify reporting procedures and guidelines for commercial airliners and sought comment from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA. The FAA does not track UFOs. Please contact the National UFO Reporting Center, the FAA told the Black Vault in an email. However, what appeared to be a contradiction to that statement is the fact that the Black Vault discovered an FAA-generated database which contains numerous UFO encounters, some as recently as March of 2019.
Are they lying?
Yeah.
Are they lying? We don't track them, but we got it in the database.
Yeah. So he's told them to go to Newfork, Peter Danport's data collecting website.
What's that there? Oh, well, doesn't matter.
It's the National UFO Reporting Center.
Yep. We know about that
Reported
with the melted
a
car.
UFO, moving from west to east just above horizon with steady light illumination, said one report near Washington, D.C. fast-moving, gone within 5 minutes. A 320 reported while taxiing inbound to the ramp, they had seen what appeared to be a UFO on their right side, said another report from Punta Gorda, Florida. In addition to these, there are more than 260 references to unidentified objects, aircraft, and helicopters throughout the reports. These UFO cases are scattered throughout an FAA-generated database of sightings of Unmanned Aviation System, or UAS, a reference to a drone system consisting of a craft and a human operator on the ground. Although most of the encounters found within are identified simply as drones operating within unauthorized areas, others categorize the sighting as UFOs, which the FAA blanket denies tracking. The Black Vault reached out to the FAA to clarify. We receive the information you see in the sightings database from numerous sources, such as the general public, law enforcement, pilots, and air traffic control. Not all sightings reported are aircraft or drones, the FAA told the Black Vault. Many times, the reports are not descriptive enough to make a determination, and could be other objects, e.g. mylar balloons or plastic bags. Single-page section in the FAA's Order JO
Don't need
7110.65
that.
Y on unidentified flying objects, UFOs. Air traffic controllers, ATCs, operating under FAA policy, abide by Order JO 7110.65 Y. Within this document, it has an entire section on UFOs, consisting of a single page. Persons wanting to report UFO/unexplained phenomena activity should contact a UFO/unexplained phenomena reporting data collection center, such as the National UFO Reporting Center, etc., it explains. If concern is expressed that life or property might be endangered, report the activity to the local law enforcement department.
So it's ridiculous, really, isn't it? Trying to say they don't look at UFOs. So there's something in their airspace, and they're responsible for the safe traffic of these aircraft, but they don't investigate something that's in their airspace that shouldn't be there. Come on, it's just silly, isn't it? Of course they do. Of course they investigate UFOs. They just don't want to say it publicly because it's going to lead to a flood of questions.
Or they got some government link that they refer to, which they don't want to bring information out about, maybe. I don't know.
What?
Or maybe they work with contractors like Bigelow. So it's like hidden in plain sight, right?
I'm not sure the FAA is that type of agency to use contractors to hide what they're doing, you know. Although it's possible. It's possible. They could be sending the report somewhere so they don't have anything to do with it themselves.
Bigelow did join MUFON, didn't he? So,
I think he gave MUFON $1 million, didn't he?
Yeah, he wanted to get access to the latest UFO crash information.
Well, yeah, he did as well. Yeah, the only trouble with that is the information that MUFON were passing on was full of names and places that these people were supposed to be anonymous. That's the trouble. We're selling data. You know, how would you feel if you got you wanted to be anonymous, and all of a sudden you got a bunch of UFO guys and reporters knocking on your door?
Wasn't it?
You're not going to be
Bigelow that helped set up this. Yeah, but wasn't Bigelow?
Let me finish, Paul. You're not going to be too happy because somebody else has sold that data when they told you it was going to be confidential, and no, that is bad practice. It really is.
I'm pretty sure Bigelow was the one that suggested the star team, wasn't it, and set it up with MUFON. I think that was his input. So they had a response team of experts to go and investigate a hot case. And I think that's what Earl Grey said. Unfortunately, we haven't got him popping on the side chat to join us to tell us. But anyway, I have tried to get him. I've tried to talk to him. I haven't heard from him for a few days, so I hope he's okay.
It's difficult to pass on data, but you'd have to redact all the names, all the phone numbers, all the contact information. Are they doing that? I don't know. I believe not. As it could be quite easy to find someone just from the location of the sighting, you know, if you were determined to investigate it.
And send the men in black or the woman in black.
No, it's not about that, Paul.
Well, you don't know.
Civilian UFO investigators can be a damn nuisance, can't they? Let's face it, you know. Constantly phoning for, you know, once they've got your phone number and your address, that's it. You're in trouble. You're going to be swamped. So someone is going to end up in court one day over this data selling of people's personal information. That's what it is.
You have to prove it, though. Okay. Where's the thing gone? Puts in a different place.
On average, there are more than 16,100,000 flights handled by the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, every year. That's more than 44,000 flights per day, and during peak times, more than 5,000 aircraft in the sky at one time. Each flight is carefully tracked with call signs and tagged on radar. Due to these numbers, airline safety is the top priority for the FAA, and in today's world, commercial drones are creating quite a problem for the crowded skies. If there really are UFOs of unknown origin traversing the sky, the question is why wouldn't the government agency, with a paramount interest in aviation safety, be concerned and investigate each case? Update April 21, 2020. After compiling the database of the FAA since the above article was written, it was discovered the FAA continues to archive UFO reports within their drone sightings database. To download the entire, searchable, .pdf and Excel spreadsheets, you can do so here. FAA statements in full. Note from the Black Vault, in order to condense the FAA statements, some information was truncated. The full statements are reproduced below for additional information, as the FAA submitted to the Black Vault in response to various questions.
It does automatically.
Okay. So that's how they've hidden it, you see. That's how they've hidden it. They've hidden under drone sightings, so they can get away with that. It doesn't draw too much attention, does it? But the thing is, commercial drones, it's not going to be responsible for half of these things because a lot of them are happening like 28,000 feet, and there's no commercial drone that's going to fly, 20, 30, 40,000 feet, is there? Military drones, possibly. Of course, definitely.
I don't know if you'd pick up a regular drone, would you? It's as small as a bird, all right? I think it's too small to...
Chance you wouldn't even pick it up, I wouldn't pick it up.
No, you might pick it up on weather radar as a false blip. But we've talked about radar before, how they were thinking of using weather radar to actually see if the air currents were moving abnormally to normal nature, so they could work out whether there's a stealth craft there or not, which I thought was a really good idea. It was a research paper that I found.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
So it makes you wonder what the Navy have, if that was a research paper I found 20 years ago, have they now got that implemented where they have AI that can detect movement of the wind currents, which has got some abnormal thing going through it. So they could track UFOs even. You'd think it would have to displace air at some stage, right? It's got to move it. If it goes through a weather system, it may not be 100% accurate, but it might give them some indication that something's coming into the atmosphere, or opening up a portal, so to speak. So, we're finished with this page. If you want to carry on with something else.
I don't think we have finished. Where did you get down to? The FAA statements in full?
We've got some blue stuff here. Is it?
Yeah, it's okay. We can finish this off. It's not too long, Paul.
I thought that was a disclaimer, to tell the truth. It's in blue writing or something. It looks like it's got a web link or a couple. Where's the reader? There.
We receive the information you see in the sightings database from numerous sources, such as the general public, law enforcement, pilots, and air traffic control. Not all sightings reported are aircraft or drones. Many times, the reports are not descriptive enough to make a determination, and could be other objects, e.g. mylar balloons or plastic bags. The FAA does outreach through the Know Before You Fly, knowbeforeyoufly.org, and No Drone Zone campaigns, making drone operators and the public aware of where drones can and cannot fly. We distributed public service videos to airports nationwide to amplify our UAS safety messages. And the FAA partnered with Kitty Hawk on a new and improved B4UFLY smartphone app, http://www.faa.gov/uas/B4UFly, which answers very basic safety questions about where it is safe and legal to fly an unmanned aircraft. Aircraft not visibly displaying a registration number or an hashtag should be reported to the local Flight Standards District Office. See the bottom of the page, second bullet, at
Yeah, go stop it.
So
https://www.
yeah, if you're going to catch someone that's flying an illegal drone, or somehow I don't think you're going to do it like if a terrorist was doing it.
He did a quick show. It wasn't too long. I think it was about 25 minutes.
Let's
on
party.
The FAA. And, whoa.
This means my battery's charged.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he talked in more detail about this then, and he went through the available commercial drones, and there isn't really any that can fly more than 3,000 feet, I think he said. So anything at 20,000
I don't think you're
feet
allowed
is
to
not
fly
commercial.
over 1,000 anyway now, unless you've got special
No.
permission.
That's right. I
1,000
don't
is
think
the
you
limit,
have.
I think, since all the clampdown with the airport stuff that happened.
Yeah, so the actual danger to aircraft, maybe on landing, they could be. I don't know.
Well, same as a bird strike, really. You know.
Yeah,
Thick.
got sucked in. Yeah.
Yep. Now, there's been some crazy crashes lately, hasn't there, with planes in Russia and somewhere else. Where was it? I can't remember now. Was it America?
Wasn't there one Japanese airline that came down a week or so ago?
Yeah, I don't know what all the details were because I missed it on the news, but yeah,
No,
I
not
just
do
know
I.
there was something.
And it was 91, 92 killed.
I don't think Susan's joined us because I sent her a couple of messages and she normally replies. Has she been on the site?
No. Was she with you on last night's live?
She was, but I haven't seen her today or heard from her today.
Okay, hope she's okay.
I don't know. I think Earl Grey might be getting his other knee done, so I'm not sure if he's in hospital or what, but he's been quiet lately as well. Earl Grey,
okay.
yeah. Getting
Yeah, I
his
haven't
knees
seen any
done.
posts. I haven't seen any posts from Earl, to be honest. Normally he's quite active, isn't he?
I think they're all scared of getting this C-19 business still, especially in his age. So where do we go from here? Next
Yeah,
one.
sure. We'll move on to another case now. But it also involves the FAA and NORAD, which is, what is that again? North American air defense, isn't it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
So no FFMI for it.
What?
Farmer Factometer Index.
Oh, right. Farmer's Factometer Index. Definitely 5 sheep. They investigate UFOs, no question about it.
I'll bring up a thing on the screen. The extra bits I've added. There we go. The Farmer Factometer Index. It's a bar chart.
Sure is.
And of course we get more fakes, which is on the big bar there. Then we do legit cases, so that's number 5 sheep right at the other end. And if we get a home run on a 5, we got our emanated graphic.
What God's name is this going to be?
Is it?
Oh, no.
That's Mick West, by the way. That's Mick West fishing. The skeptics are being taught a lesson. Bang. Oh, I was going to add his face to it, but yeah. Some stage I might do that. A home run with the sheep there. And of course we got the flying UFO one that we've already seen. So whenever you do that now, we can bring up the charts, and then people can work out your crazy farmer factory bar chart system. So we got another link to go. I'll just copy it across.
Yeah.
While that's playing.
There you go.
I should have unticked it. Else it just repeats. Yeah. Why is it not right-clicking? CPU business. A bar chart. Not that kind of bar chart, though. So, we're New Zealand, so we like sheep. And you're Wales, and you like sheep as well. Not too sure if that's
too much in some cases.
Not sure what kind of alien that is, though, in the UFO there. It'll finish playing in a minute.
What the hell?
Charles. What's he saying there?
Yeah, Charles is saying that's why I was asking about Susan.
Got a mini what? Me watching.
Send her a message later.
Alright, he's got kids, so we've got to watch out. Got to watch out for the farmer swear words. This one we need to scale down. There's that niggle in the throat again. Hey, the war zone. These are the ones that do manage to get hold of the recordings from the towers, right?
Yes, as is in the case here. We can't play all them. There's around about 2 hours worth.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they got copyright ownership of it either. So, new evidence, huh?
You need to hear these FAA tapes from the Oregon UFO incident that sent F-15s scrambling. New evidence offers great detail of the bizarre event and provides unprecedented insight into how such a unique incident is dealt with in real time. By Tyler Rogaway, February 15, 2018.
Didn't they try and write that off as a low-flying, drug-running Cessna or something like that?
No, it was going way too fast for Cessna. Cessna got a top speed of about 500 miles an hour.
Was it on the radar? That speed?
Yeah.
Or was it sighted?
I don't think anyone's... and multiple sightings.
Yeah, I didn't know if the jets actually managed to catch up to it and sight it.
No, the jets didn't. The jets didn't catch up with it. So you're telling me 2 F-15s couldn't catch a Cessna?
What's going on here? Let me just fix it up. Come on, CPU. Oh
no.
Yeah, I got that silly message. I'm not sure why it comes up. I thought we got rid of it. Yeah, it's possible that she's lost internet connection, Susan. What's happened to that one? Yeah? No, looks like I'm going to have to fix it up. Damn, CPU, come on. It's like back on the DX66 again.
AST November. The War Zone posted an exclusive story detailing a bizarre incident involving an unidentified aircraft that transited the skies of the Pacific Northwest in the early evening of October 25, 2017. What started as a radar target moving at very high speed over Northern California turned into a series of eyewitness accounts made by nearby airline pilots traveling northward over Oregon. Even F-15 fighters were launched to intercept the mysterious intruder that quickly became invisible to radar. Now, through the Freedom of Information Act, we present what could be one of the most insightful instances of official documentation surrounding such an encounter that had already been confirmed to have occurred by both the FAA and the USAF. These materials include fascinating audio recordings of radio transmissions and phone calls made as the incident was unfolding, as well as pilot interviews and conversations between FAA officials made in the aftermath of the highly peculiar incident.
Okay, so what's these things here? EDS, I think. Was it? Mystery over... Yeah, EDS to other things. We got a video here, is it? What's that?
Yeah. You'll have to avoid them. It's the control tower to the pilots.
For proper context, make sure to first read our original post linked here detailing the event, how our report came to be received hours of audio, all with unique elements that add to this story. What we have done is packaged that audio, as well as the radar data provided, into 4 separate videos. The first video includes audio from the initial spotting of the object as it ripped its way across Northern California at high speed.
Can you
NW Mystery Aircraft Air Traffic Control recordings and radar data synced in real time.
Something's not right here. Something's not right here with the CPU. It's mixing out. I don't think you've clicked it properly somehow. Crazy. Yeah, we're getting quit there.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
You need to select
all that text. Opening this audio is to listen.
I'm doing some crazy stuff here. Hey, why that?
Fast forward 3 months later, and now we have so much more evidence that adds incredible depth and color to our original report, and the limited radio recordings we originally had to go off of. Via our Freedom of Information Act request, we received hours of audio, all with unique elements that add to this story. What we have done is packaged that audio, as well as the radar data provided, into 4 separate videos. We will highlight some of the big takeaways from each video in our piece, but we cannot stress enough how interesting and eye-opening this audio is to listen to in full, so we highly recommend you do so by watching each video in its entirety. The first video includes audio from the initial spotting of the object as it ripped its way across Northern California at high speed, before it took a turn north and merged with nearby air traffic and disappeared from radar. Once again, beyond becoming invisible to radar, this aircraft had no transponder broadcasting, nor did it ever communicate verbally with air traffic controllers. The audio in the video goes on to be synced in real time with radar data obtained via our FOIA request. NW Mystery Aircraft Air Traffic Control recordings and radar data.
I didn't tell it to read down to there. It decided to do it by itself.
Yeah, so in an abrupt turn, it's basically gone back on itself. It was heading south, and then suddenly it's going north. That's unusual at that kind of speed. You know, even a top fighter jet takes it's going to take a couple of miles before it can actually turn round. Yeah, it's unusual.
Well, let me just reset something here.
To say the least.
Something crazy's going on. Well, that dropped some of the CPU. It's plugging. Something's going on in the background again. I just don't trust this Windows 10. They do sneaky stuff. You can see how slow that is coming up there.
Yeah.
It's just terrible. Okay, where's the read thing? Continue.
Oakland Center Sector 31 first detected the target around 4:30 p.m. PST. Below is a chart showing where Oakland Center's high-altitude sectors are situated around Northern California. Sector 31 spans roughly from Sacramento up towards Redding, before its northern edge, which is near the border with Oregon, terminates and Seattle Center's airspace begins. To the east, the airspace sits along the California-Nevada border. This makes sense as the craft was eventually tracked by airline pilots as it made its way up over Crater Lake and towards the Willamette Valley. In the audio, the Oakland Center controller notes that it is near his boundary, so it seems the aircraft's first appearance officially occurred near the border of Oakland Center Sector 31 and Seattle Center Sector 13 or 14. The target was moving very fast at 37,000 feet when it was first detected. FAA. Seattle ARTCC.
Where's it doing
Seattle ARTCC.
Crazy. I didn't tell it to read down to there. Is this the Eagle River one, isn't it?
No, Paul.
No.
No.
Oregon.
That's a close encounter case. This is the Pacific Northwest UFO incident in 2017.
And that's where I get a lot of Bigfoot sightings too, isn't it? Pacific Northwest, and paranormal activity as well.
Well, I mean, this all happened in the air, didn't it? So I don't think Bigfoot flies.
Well, it might be a pilot. We have talked about cases about Bigfoot flying UFOs. So what's this map off here? What's it trying to tell us? It's a bit hard to understand.
These are the different flights that I think you need to listen to all the audio together with this to get. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I had time on my hands. I went through the whole lot because it was such a good case. Inconclusive one, but still a good case, and maybe some more stuff will come to light in the future. How's this spinning now?
The intruder quickly dropped off radar, and that's when the visual sightings made by airline crews began.
Yeah.
They continued for roughly half an hour and over hundreds of miles. The exchanges between nearby pilots and air traffic control regarding the unidentified aircraft were constant in the audio, with the same description coming back time and again, that of a white aircraft cruising at around 37,000 feet, that is too far away to tell the type, or if it has markings of any kind on it. At roughly 27:30 into the video, we get our first indication that the F-15s out of PDX are about to scramble, with the air traffic controller noting this while talking to another FAA controller, during which the controller also reiterates that there has still been no radar contact with the aircraft. The controller also repeatedly asks aircrews nearby to check their traffic collision avoidance systems, TCAS, for the aircraft, which all come back negative. Tyler Rogaway/author. F-15.
Alright, it was carrying on.
Yeah, you okay to go there,
F-15s of the 142nd Fighter Wing taxi out for departure from their nest at PDX. The F-15s first appear on radar as they climb out of Portland to the south at time index 33 as rock flight,
Thank you, Ken.
a common call sign used for the alert F-15s stationed at PDX. Alaska 439 asks for an update on the unidentified aircraft, and the controller notes they still have nothing on him, saying colloquially that it must be in a kind of stealth mode or something. It's also interesting that the F-15s first went south, when it seems as if the object would have been north of PDX by the time they finally launched. This second video is just the radar data, in its raw form. It starts before the synced recording begins above, so we thought we would post it in full so our readers can take a closer look if they want. Raw radar data recorded during the incident.
Do we need to play the raw data or not? Can we understand it? Is another thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I looked at it, and but I was having a bit of trouble making sense of it, to be honest.
That's all right. I know they're complex, these radar map things. Thanks for the donation, Kim.
Aside from that, the audio is
to,
unedited by us, although we cannot be certain if parts were redacted by the FAA or not. There were a few strange areas where conversations went mute, and it's not clear if this was edited or just an anomaly.
Joe.
The primary person talking in most
call.
of these calls is the operations manager in charge for Seattle Center at the time that the incident took place.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Yeah, so right, the saying here that there could be parts of the phone conversations edited. Well, after listening to it twice, I would suggest that is definitely the case.
Hmm.
There was pieces where there was these long pauses, and where the conversation carried on didn't seem to match with what was said last. Do you see what I mean? It just didn't gel. It wasn't coherent, and there was several of those spots where you had the feeling that they'd taken something out of the transcript, you know, which they're entitled to do, I suppose.
Well, they
especially
do it with,
if it concerns national security.
Well, we know they do it with DUI. They mute parts of personal information, so who knows? They might mute it where the people's names are mentioned.
Maybe it's nothing more than that.
Yeah. Or plain call signs or whatever, I don't know. Or military information.
Yeah. Well, anything sensitive, and let's face it, UFOs are sensitive data. So we could have been missing out on,
The first call is to Oakland Center, and it occurs early on after the initial radar detection, and as pilots began spotting the craft visually. He also mentions that air defense is looking for the target now too, on radar, so it shows how early the military was involved in the encounter. You will notice that the term DEN is referred to repeatedly in these recordings. That is the Domestic Events Network, a sort of hotline system that is used to bridge the FAA with federal authorities, namely the military, during a number of circumstances which you can read about here. You will also hear the term WADS and the nickname/call sign Bigfoot. This refers to the Western Air Defense Sector of NORAD that monitors the airspace over a huge swath of territory in the United States and Canada. Based out of McCord AFB in Washington, WADS scrambles the fighters when needed and works to direct them to their targets of interest during domestic air sovereignty missions, among other responsibilities. USAF. When the manager in charge is asked if he was asking for military assistance by another FAA controller, the tape goes blank. The same inquiry is heard moments later, and it goes silent again before another call begins. Although it really doesn't have much impact on the greater mystery, who asked for the F-15S to scramble, and when, comes up in the next video in an exchange between the same manager and an FAA official. In the final set of calls in the video we hear controllers talking about how the Air Force wants to set up an air patrol over Battleground Washington, which is a dozen miles directly north of PDX. We know the F-15S headed south initially, so it isn't clear if this call came after they initially headed in that direction, or before they were even airborne and the plan changed later on for some reason. Once again Rock refers to the call sign of the alert fighters. Finally, we get to our last and most interesting of our evidence videos. It contains the calls made after the incident occurred. Seattle Center's manager in charge of operations tries to figure out what happened exactly. In doing so he talks once again with Seattle Center and the trio of airline pilots that spotted the craft visually, and has some very interesting conversations with the FAA's Air Traffic Organization Security Office and the agency's Safety and Quality Assurance Group. FAA phone.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So one thing that you realise after listening to all these transcripts and phone calls is nobody seems to know what the hell is going on They don't know who scrambled, who gave the order
Mhm.
well, they must have contacted the Air Force. Somebody must have contacted them,
Right.
or they found it on military radar and just decided to scramble independently because they don't know. It's just complete confusion. They don't know what the object is, where it came from. They don't know where it went. They don't know where the F-15s came from and who gave the order. It's like totally incoherent. There's no coordination there at all.
There's a lot of Air
Bit of a
Force
mess,
bases up
really.
that way. Oregon
Yeah,
in
there is.
California.
Yeah. Somebody else could have been tracking it, you know. But NORAD were involved, weren't they? And I think they could well have been the ones to pass the message on.
Yep. So next bit.
First we hear about the big question as to who requested the scramble, as according to the call, it has to come from FAA headquarters. The manager floats the idea, in retrospect, of having the airliners keep a visual on the craft instead of allowing them to descending into PDX, at least until the F-15s show up, but the FAA official swats that down as they didn't know what the aircraft was, if they are equipped with anything or its intentions. She reiterates that getting the military involved was a good idea, but that it should have come from FAA headquarters over the DN. The manager reminds her again that he doesn't know who requested military assistance, and that Oakland Center told him to call WADS initially. Next we hear from Oakland Center again, at first discussing who ordered the scramble, but then the conversation goes into talking about what actually happened. Both agree that there was definitely something out there, with the Oakland Center controller saying the aircraft first appeared going southbound at high speed before executing an abrupt maneuver, and then took off northbound. Even figuring out how to report the encounter seems totally foreign to both higher-ranking controllers, with one stating, "I have a feeling someone is going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb." Tyler Rogaway/author. An F-15C from the 100. Then we get into the pilot interviews over the phone.
Do you want me to stop?
No, it was okay.
All
It was
right.
fine.
Phone, with the manager's intention being for each crew to write up a report detailing their individual perspective of the incident. During the call with United 612 there are some odd dropped moments, but the pilot describes the encounter, stating that he was too far away to make out the type. The next call, with Alaska Airlines 525, also doesn't reveal much as the crew says they never were able to see it, but the crew of SkyWest 3478 did, although he didn't have much to add. The call with the pilot of Southwest 4712 was by far the most interesting. He immediately notes how strange the encounter was and how he has never seen an incident like it in nearly 30 years of flying jets. The pilot noted, "If it was like a Lear, private jet, type airframe I probably would not have seen it this clear. This was a white airplane and it was big. And it was moving at a clip too, because we were keeping pace with it. It was probably moving faster than we were. It was a larger aircraft, yeah." He also said they watched the object from Northern California all the way to their descent into Portland. Tyler Rogaway/author.
So they're saying it wasn't a UFO exactly. Alien craft. They're saying it's possibly a plane.
No. Paul, you would only describe something as an aircraft whether you knew what it was or not. It wouldn't be good. Come on. You're not going to radio in, "It's an alien spacecraft," for God's sakes. You're going to be flying a desk the next day. Just because they're using the word aircraft doesn't mean to say it was an aircraft as we understand it. Come on, you must know how this works, Paul.
Well, this was after the Tic Tac press release, wasn't it?
I don't think so, because that was December 2017. So this would have had to be nearly bang on Christmas time to be later.
Mm.
Author. A 737. The manager's final call was with the FAA's Quality Assurance Group, who was taken by surprise by the details surrounding the event, and especially with the fact that nobody still knew what the aircraft was or where it ended up. Wow, that's weird, is the operative quote by the FAA official, which is insightful to say the least, as these people deal with unique incidents that occur in American airspace on a daily basis. The manager agreed with the sentiment and noted that it wasn't some small aircraft, and it was moving fast, outpacing a 737 cruising nearby. The official also says that the incident should be classified as potentially significant on reporting documents. She even said that this was a weird enough thing that there is not a set procedure. It's not often we hear about an unknown guy up at that altitude. Collectively, these materials give us incredible insight not only into this incident, but also into how such an event is actually handled in real time by those who are responsible for the safety of those in the air and those on ground below. What they don't offer is any sort of an explanation for what happened on that fall evening. But really, the fact that all those involved, from air traffic controllers, to Air Force radar operators, to airline pilots, and even special FAA officials tasked with responding to all types of out-of-the-ordinary incidents that occur in the sky on a daily basis, seem just as puzzled with this event as we are, makes the story all that much more intriguing.
We got to the end.
Okay, so it was in the fall, so that's obviously before the New York Times printed all that stuff about the Nimitz encounter and those 3 videos.
Mm.
Okay, so I'm not really sure what your point was, whether it was before or after, what difference that makes.
Well, it may change how they report things. If it's a tic-tac, they might say tic-tac now, the pilots, because others have said it. But, yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean, but no, we can rule that out now, can't we?
Yep. Catch up on the side chat. What have we got going on here? Oh, we got Susan join us.
Yeah.
Late to the party.
Getting a bit concerned.
Yeah, we thought you had no internet again. Hey, Joe. Charles. We're almost at the end of this one. Did you want to play some of the recordings, did you say?
Intriguing. Above all else, this new evidence underscores just how rare these events actually are, especially ones that include multiple sightings, the use of multiple sensors, the involvement of various agencies including the military, and some of the most capable air-to-air fighters in the world. And after recent reports unmasking how the Pentagon remains highly interested in encounters, just like this one, it holds even more weight than it did 3 months ago. We will continue to investigate this bizarre incident, and we will keep you updated as to what else we discover.
I don't think there was anything else added since then, was there?
No, that was the addition. That was the additional information. The best one to play, I would imagine, if you're gonna that one. If you're gonna play some of that, I'm gonna go ahead. I don't remember how long it is now.
Is it YouTube? No, it's their own thing.
Yeah, it's 36 minutes.
I can't hear anything.
Nor can I. No, I think you'll hear it in a minute. It's just giving you an introduction.
You can work out the phone number by the tones,
You have reached the FAA Air Traffic Security Coordinator. Be advised, all calls may be recorded or monitored.
Is it loud enough? It's maximum volume.
Air traffic security.
Hey, this is Seattle Center. I'm wondering what you guys think about having us call the pilots.
Cool.
Hey, hold on just a second. Actually, I'm answering for and she's just about to get off the other line.
Okay.
Just a second.
All right. Hey there. I'm wondering if we have the pilots we have at least 3 aircraft that reported this other aircraft or
CPU
whatever it was.
out.
I wonder if we'd call them and have them give us some more information about what it is they saw, or do you want any of that stuff? Would that be helpful?
I think that would be very helpful, along with trying to find out who requested or approved WADs to scramble the rock 01 and 02, because I was on the line trying to get a hold of you guys, because LA was saying that you guys requested military assistance from WADs.
No, somebody called me, Oakland called me and said, hey, WADs wants you to call them, so I did. And I just said,
Oakland called you?
Yeah, so Oakland was initially the one that had this report of these airplanes, seeing this other guy at 37. So they told us first. So all we did was start asking these pilots a bunch of questions when they got in our airspace. So the Oakland OMIC or whoever calls me, or actually I don't remember if it was the area, called our area, or here at my number, and said that WADS was asking, wanted to talk to me. So I called them, and they were asking me a bunch of different questions, and then they scrambled. I don't know. We went through the whole scramble process, and they had the command posts and all the facilities on and all that business.
Right.
Kind of
that request for military assistance has to come from FAA headquarters.
Yeah, I didn't ask for the assistance. I just said Oakland said that they wanted me to call WADS. So I just picked up the phone and called WADS and said, hey, this is going on. What do you need from me? So they were asking me, well, where is the plane? What's this? What's that? A bunch of different questions.
Okay.
So I didn't approve or ask for anything. I just was given information.
It's really bad audio.
Did you hear me calling, asking over the done line?
So when you first were calling, no, because I guess we got disconnected. So I wasn't hearing that, but I was calling on this number that I called you, just on a regular phone.
Yeah.
I called that.
I don't think this is
And they said, well, they're trying to call you on the den.
particularly
on the other end.
interesting, Robert.
I don't know why I'm not hearing that, and then I realized
No,
I was
it
I tried several
won't
times
be.
to call on the done, and I tried several times to call you
Do
on
we
the
move on?
landline.
Well, on the landline,
Yeah,
I had the phone with me the
move
whole
on.
time.
Yeah, it seems like they don't know what's going on, basically.
This is the whole thing. They haven't got a clue.
Mm.
They haven't got a clue. There's some higher power that's taken over this event, and these civilian people are just, but they're left trying to pick the pieces up, and they're trying to put something together out of it, and they just don't have the information to do it, But if you're really interested in the event, and the web page is there, we've left a link for it, haven't we? So have a look at it. And it's the War Zone. Tyler Drogaway's article, isn't it? If you look at his articles, you'll soon find it on there if you can't find the link on here. If you've got 2 hours to spare and you're interested in the incident, then maybe it's worth going through it all. I found it of interest anyway.
So where to next then? That's the question.
Okay. Yeah.
Keep it flowing.
Oh, do you know, with a case, you think you're going to shoot yourself in the foot by bringing this case up and looking at it. This is one. All I'm going to say is, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm only putting it out there. It's the Eagles River incident. It's also known as the space pancakes or the flapjack case. It's
Eagle
a bit crazy.
River.
Yeah.
It's in between all the lakes.
Wisconsin.
Yep, that's a really green spot. That's also Bigfoot territory, isn't it?
Yes, that very much is. Yeah. I just need to pop to the toilet part.
In
So
between
I'll
the
let
big
you
lakes. Yeah, CPU's maxing out for some reason today. We actually have got a Bigfoot one here. Where is it? Bigfoot abducted. Alright, I forgot to untick it. No, CPU maxing out for some reason. Looks like it's glitching now. So, Robert, where are you? I have to wait till he comes back. We'll play around meantime. I like that rotating UFO, that's pretty cool. So we're talking about the FAA, and we got some jets chasing UFOs there. Yeah. Here he comes. Are you back? He muted it, I think. Come on, Robert. Robert. Are you there? You got it muted. Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'm back.
Alright. So, Green Eagle River. Conspiracies of Al, however you say his name, Bicklick, is it?
Bicklick. Al Bicklick.
I don't think we can sync that. I think it's in a graphic.
Yeah, well, I can't even see it because it's not important to the case anyway. And I can't even see the text there. It's absolutely, totally out of focus.
Yeah, I can't help that. The CPU is maxing out here.
Yeah.
That should be stabilizing now, though.
Yeah, can't see the comments down the side on
Aliens.
my phone until I switch to YouTube.
The First World War UFO Battle of Baron Manfred von Richthofen. May 8, 2020, 3:15 p.m. Baron von Richthofen was largely considered to be the most feared fighter pilot of his era. He is also
That's
the person
Snoopy,
at the
isn't it?
center of a controversial UFO
Oh,
claim
but
made
this
by his
isn't-
wingman
this
80
isn't the
years
right
after the
case.
pair allegedly.
This one you gave it to me. It's not the right one?
What?
You reckon it's not the right one?
No.
Right, I must have clicked it then. That's when it went crazy. That makes more sense. What was the other case then? Because that one sounded interesting as well.
Oh,
Anyway,
well.
that's right.
The Eagle River incident of April 1961 in Wisconsin, sometimes referred to as the Space Pancakes or Flapjacks case, is another UFO encounter that even those in the UFO community have regarded for many years as a hoax. And many still do. However, the case persists with UFO researchers returning periodically to the incident on the off chance that perhaps it was a true encounter. The fact is, however, while proof of such absolute authenticity remains beyond our reach, there are more reasons to believe the credibility of the incident than not. The witness, chicken farmer, Joe Simonton, has never altered his story since first reporting the incident and would, much to his credit, preserve a keepsake of his meeting with otherworldly visitors. The encounter in Eagle River was one that lasted 5 minutes at the most. It would, though, leave talking points still discussed, pondered, and indeed still investigated today. Just where does the so-called pancake case rank in terms of importance in UFO and alien encounters? And, as we will examine, where might it reside in terms of historical legends, both factual and mythical?
Didn't get down to the last sentence here.
Indeed, the case will likely prove to be a mundane footnote in the annals of UFO history, or it will prove crucial in the human subconscious yearning to fill in the gaps of our collective history.
Okay, and what have we got there? A video of some kind.
Yeah. So he said that the craft was just a few feet above the ground. It didn't have any landing gear. It just hovered there, solid, just a few feet above ground level.
Mm-hmm.
So unlike a lot of the landing cases where they describe in landing gear, this one was a little bit different. Which
right,
but it's a strange.
But that's the same as Mojo's one. He said it was hovering above the water 1 or 2 feet. And they were sucking up water or doing something with water. And obviously some aliens exploring outside as well while they're doing that. On that video of his.
A cosmic landing in the middle of breakfast. On the morning of April 18th, 1961, at around 11 a.m., Joe Simonton looked on in amazement as he saw a flying saucer descend out of the morning sky and land on his farm. He had been enjoying a late breakfast this particular morning, when a sudden sound had brought him to his front porch. The object, according to Simonton's later report, was silver, but brighter than chrome, and stood approximately 12 feet high and around 30 feet in diameter. The object would land and almost immediately a hatch opened in the side of the silver exterior. Inside the craft, 3 dark-skinned humanoid aliens were visible. They appeared to be wearing a uniform of sorts, dark blue or black, that featured helmet caps and a turtleneck collar. Simonton would state that these humanoids were Italian-looking. Then, he realized these visitors required water. He would tell Franklin Carter, a Wisconsin judge and UFO researcher, that
Italian looking because they had dark skin, was it? And black hair.
Well, he didn't see the hair because they had those kind of skull caps on. They
Yeah, I've got a few quotes here.
Watching the entire scenario unfold, Simonton remained where he was. As the 3 alien humanoids ventured out of their craft, Simonton noticed that they were carrying a beautiful thing, a thermos jug-like bottle quite unlike any jug I have ever seen here on Earth. The jug had 2 silver handles, and Simonton had the impression it was made from the same material as the craft, which appeared, at least to him, to be heavier than aluminum, but lighter than steel.
Aluminium.
Then, he realized these visitors required water. He would tell Franklin Carter, a Wisconsin judge and UFO researcher, that. He did not speak.
Oh.
But he motioned by tipping his head backward and making motions as if drinking. He took the jug from the alien humanoid, who still had not muttered a word, and went inside to fill it up. Universal communication in no language whatsoever. He returned outside with the jug now filled with water, and passed it back to his visitor, who looked appreciative. As he reached to pass the jug back, he had to lean his left hand side and left hand on the side of the craft. He would apparently suffer no ill effects from doing so, such as burns, etc. As he did so, he could see inside of the craft further. Inside, he could see the other 2 occupants more clearly. They were, he would claim, chained or belted to their workstations, presumably for safety reasons. One was engaged at a panel in front of him, while the other was cooking food on a heating unit of some kind. He would elaborate. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. Jesus. This has to be complete nonsense, doesn't it?
It's hidden down to a 2 on the bar chart.
Well, hold on. There's just one thing that bugs me, and it's bugged researchers ever since, and that's that he actually had, unlike most close encounters and abductions, he actually had something to take away.
What, the famous?
No, he didn't. He gave that back. Now that's a shame if it's a real event. But yeah, okay, carry on.
See any heated grill nor flames. Yet he seemed to be cooking or frying cakes. I was interested in them, and the man in hatchway noted my interest, and walked over and scooped up some of them, and gave them to me. They looked somewhat like pancakes.
Where do we get down to? Pancakes. Well, we've got a drawing coming up. Pancakes. I almost got to the end.
All the while no verbal communication ensued to me nor to each other, in any kind of language whatsoever.
Okay, so there's that picture again. Oh, keeps flipping up to the top. So what does it look like? Looks like a lot of things that people described before with the row of lights, is it, around here? So who drew this picture? Artist or himself?
It looks like an artist's rendition, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there might be a drawing coming up where he might have drawn it. I think this might be it here. But it's not signed, is it?
No.
Well, actually, that could have been done by artists too.
Well, what does it say?
Well, we have to read it out.
Don't lose your place in the story
article.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got Heineck coming up.
Don't want that.
You don't want it?
Simonton would comment, however, on a gesture by the humanoid upon receiving the water, where he placed the tips of his right hand to his forehead and immediately withdrew it. This to most would appear to be a salute, or gesture of thankful respect. This would certainly appear to be the impression Simonton got as he responded with a military salute, which the visitor appeared to understand as "you're welcome," as intended. Then, the hatch shut tight again. Instantly, there was no longer even an indication that the hatchway had even been there. No seams, hinges, or telltale marks of an opening. Just seamless, smooth, metallic silver. A sudden takeoff and departure. The ship began to rise from the ground several moments after the hatch sealed shut. It would rise and tip slightly before shooting forward and away into the sky. Simonton would state witnessing a pine tree being bent completely back at the same time by some kind of backwash from the power of the craft as it left. However, despite moving back and forth several times,
Shame he
when
wasn't
it came to a
videotaping
stop,
it.
the tree was undamaged. Simonton's description of the ship is also interesting in terms of other, very similar descriptions of the era, and indeed similar sightings and encounters going back to the late 1940s. He would recall in his report that it looked like two plates, or bowls, which were inverted over the top of each other. Furthermore, upon reflection, he realized that the ship was, in fact, hovering ever so slightly above the ground as opposed to actually touching down. This would perhaps explain why many such sightings leave no markings of their presence. We should also bear in mind, too, the extremely powerful, although apparently non-destructive propulsion system of the craft. The pine tree, for example, was undamaged although subject to some responsive force from the craft's takeoff. Also, there were no attempts to have Simonton stand away from the craft when it left, who, incidentally, was unharmed from the close encounter. Partly out of curiosity,
No
Simonton
radiation?
ate one of the pancakes the visitors had gifted him. He would later recall to the press how it tasted like cardboard. The rest, however, he would keep. A decision that would be one of the best decisions he would make. The
Now,
cosmic
this
space
is where it
pancakes.
starts getting interesting.
The cosmic
You'll
pancakes.
actually be, yeah, well, he actually kept, he ate one and kept two, didn't he? So he actually had something now for analysis. You'll be surprised how
I will be.
seriously this case was taken at the time, you know.
Okay. Let's keep. What year was this again?
1961, I believe.
All right.
When speaking of the encounter to Carter, Simonton would produce one of the pancakes from his pocket. The small round cakes had the perforated appearance of Scotch pancakes, but were rubbery, or elastic, and able to be bent and rolled, and not break apart. Furthermore, they had an aroma similar to goose grease. Simonton would gladly allow two of the cakes to leave his possession for testing. Carter would send them for testing with the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena, NICAP. However, they would refuse involvement with the incident. This was perhaps the first blow to the credibility of the account. Perhaps bizarrely, and with a little sense of irony, it would be J. Allen Hynek, pictured above, who would take interest in the case as part of the Project Blue Book files. When the NICAP group in question ceased to exist, it was Hynek who would take charge of their files. Incidentally, we will come back to NICAP's involvement, or not, in this case, a little later.
No, we'll stop there.
While it remains a shame that...
Yeah, see, now, this is an even now where when NICAP and even APTO, if there was anything really far out and bizarre, even an abduction story, NICAP wouldn't touch it. NICAP wanted to stay legit. They wouldn't trust anything that involved a possible UFO crash. They wouldn't touch abductions. They wouldn't trust even close encounters of the third kind, which this was. Luckily, Hynek did take an interest in this case, and we'll see.
CPU's getting a wee bit better.
That two sides who essentially wanted the same thing, the truth, could not work together to do so. It appears the reasons were not as clear-cut as Carter would initially put across. It was through Hynek's connections at Northwestern University that the pancakes would eventually be tested and analyzed. The United States Air Force, at the time as part of Project Blue Book, would authorize and fund the tests. The results, as we might expect, were fascinating, to say the least. The no-salt issue. The results of the analysis carried out on the cakes to be very much like a normal, everyday pancake. They were made from wheat, flour, sugar, and grease. Remember the goose grease aroma. However, interestingly, the pancakes contain absolutely no traces of salt, not even natural salt, whatsoever. Every last salt crystal had been removed somehow.
Yeah, stop it.
This, as trivial as it sounds, is a major.
Yeah, does sound trivial at first, doesn't it? Now, how has he removed this chicken farmer? How has he managed to remove every last granule of salt? Well, I looked into it, and apparently it's impossible. It cannot be done.
Does wheat naturally have salt in it?
All grains do, I think. There's no food stuff that where you can remove all the salt as far as I could find.
Right.
The only thing I can suggest is those tests were skewed.
Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
And wheat grain. Natural wheat. Six high sodium foods would never expect. So it looks like wheat is one of them.
Yeah, this is it. This is where it takes a bizarre turn. I can't explain it. The only way I can explain it, as I said, is that if the results were skewed. But I mean, this was the Air Force in charge of these tests. You know, you'd think they'd have taken it to top people. I don't know.
Cottage cheese, breakfast foods, cereal, sodium per serving, 170.
Ken, like cardboard, McDonald's comes to mind. Yeah, you got that one right. I had one the other day. Oh, bloody awful. Only ate it because I was starving.
Yeah. It does say, but is it added in after the process or grown naturally? Because if he grew it in his backyard, maybe he ground it up himself.
You still have natural salt, you know.
Yeah, pure salt or salt products. Brings too much salt. It doesn't really. I suppose I'd have to spend a bit of time researching this.
Yeah,
A new global study.
Paul, I spent an hour. Midweek.
Mixed grain. Sodium content in flour and bread. But it doesn't say whether it's added after or during the process, and why would it be? A low sodium diet. Because back in 1961, there would have been less processing than it is today.
Yeah.
So they would have used a flour mill.
You still can't get zero salt. It's supposedly impossible. And I don't know how a chicken farmer could somehow filter out that salt. It sounds like to possibly do it, it's like you'd need your own laboratory, to be honest.
Well, salt is toxic to plants. Some salts.
Yeah, in high concentration.
Yeah, I don't know. Sodium plants. You have to do a lot of research on this just to make sure. And we need a agricultural student in the group. Salt damage to plants. Yeah, I don't know. What sodium in soil, you see? How would it get into soil if you didn't add it? Let's see. What's that say there?
It's just a naturally organic occurring thing, isn't it? It'd be difficult to remove it completely from anything.
Yeah, but do plants absorb it? That's the question. Not needed in plants. We need it for our nervous system.
Yeah, this is it's occurring in all natural products.
Most plants
Anyway,
only use trace amounts.
Better carry on with the case rather than waste too much on this, Paul.
Well, I kind of suggest here that it wouldn't be in grains to me unless it's added after the processing. Trace amounts. It wouldn't get rid of it completely, but would trace amounts not get detected? Is the question here. So yeah, I'd say there is some, not zero, but they're saying no salt here, so...
Major part of the case. And certainly one of the most intriguing. It would appear, for example, that the salt was missing from each of the individual ingredients. If Simonton had concocted the whole episode, how had he managed to achieve this himself? And more to the point, why would he go to such lengths?
Ooh, what happened there?
Got to the end.
No, that wasn't the end.
Well, before picture. We're reading between pictures.
Okay. What the hell?
It's got some big pictures in it to get in the way. That goes really fast, you see. For some reason it scrolls faster once I get to the picture and I'm trying to stop it. There we go.
Okay.
Indeed, one of the reasons the aforementioned Carter looked so favorably on Simonton's account was a complete lack of motive for him to put himself in such a public situation by manufacturing the incident. After all, what would and did he have to gain? Very little, at least in Carter's opinion. Furthermore, and of more interest to us here, the issue of salt, or lack thereof, might be an indication of the crossing over from one field of interest into another. From the realms of UFOs to the supernatural, and ultimately, mythical legends of folklore. It is perhaps this unlikely combination that might provide a remarkable angle from which to view the Eagle River incident from. And from there, plenty of other similar incidents across the ages. We start our look at this intriguing connection, though, with the work of one of the loudest voices on the matter. Links to legends of old folklore. Perhaps one of the most intriguing connections of the case was that originally made by Jacques Vallée in his book Passport to Magonia, who would compare old legends of fairies and mythical creatures, and their apparent disliking, indeed complete aversion to salt. Throughout his pages devoted to the Eagle River landing, Vallée quotes and offers the insight of Wentz, an American writer who collected many tales of these strange, supernatural beings, who in Celtic legends were known as the gentry. Not only did they not eat anything salt, but they also only drink pure water. Coincidentally or not, that was the request of the strange visitors to Simonton. There are some truly intriguing descriptions on offer regarding the gentry that we could, albeit at times with a bit of a stretch, apply to other aspects of the UFO and alien question. For example, according to the information gathered by Wentz and, in turn, passed on by Vallée in our, relatively, modern era, the gentry were a military aristocratic class, tall and noble appearing, and are a race between our, human, race and that of the spirits. Furthermore, they are tremendously powerful, and could cut off half the human race, but would not, for we are expecting salvation. What that salvation is and at what form it will take is not mentioned. Perhaps most intriguing about the gentry, they can take on many forms. As one legend claims, a 4-foot being appeared to a bemused man and claimed, "I am bigger than I appear to you now." Furthermore, these gentry never die, but take on different forms, even marrying and having children with good and pure mortals.
Yeah,
All of these
It's
traits
getting
and details
too
appear
far out for
similar
me.
to one of the most mysterious
Yeah.
and head-scratching aspects of the
So that means valet was a wee bit religious, wasn't it?
Whoa, yeah. I mean, I've read that book, Passport to Magonia. A couple of others as well. The Invisible College was one. What he does, he could never accept that UFOs might be interplanetary. He didn't believe the ET hypothesis at all. He just couldn't consolidate himself with that. Tried to tie all modern UFO sightings in with stuff that had happened.
Yeah.
Folklore and mythology, and he just, and sometimes I just felt that he was trying a bit too hard.
Push an agenda rather than following the evidence.
Yeah, and that's my opinion. Don't get me wrong, Bally's, he's been of great service to ufology. I just don't agree with his opinions.
Yeah. So if it's interdimensional, a lot of
He
these
turned
legends
that way as well.
A lot of these legends didn't actually have UFO ships, though, did they?
No. You could
They
say
normally
some
come
of them.
from. A lot of them come
described as
from
aliens,
underground. Yeah.
Yeah.
Underground civilizations, hollow earth theories, and all that sort of stuff. Someone asked me about hollow earth. Who was it? On a comment, I said, well, this is the problem I have with it. We know if as soon as you get down to a mole deep underground, it's like super hot down there, like 45, 50 degrees Celsius. And you need to cool. You need to bring air conditioning down there. So if the earth was hollow, why is it getting hotter as you go further down? Which kind of suggests that the earth has a core in the middle. Also, I said the weight of the ocean, if we were like an empty shell, the weight of the ocean would collapse in places and probably drain the sea into the middle of the planet. So yeah, it didn't wash for me, especially if earthquakes, because I live around earthquakes here, and of course obviously you get a lot of land that cracks. So yeah, I don't know what it would cause havoc underneath, where it's all moving, where it'd be falling down on cities if they're inside the earth. So yeah, I don't sort of go with the hollow earth, but doesn't mean that there's not lava tubes that go mile underground, and they've got some sort of cooling system using water around the outside to cool it down, and can quite easily live down there. Because if you got like any form of energy, right, thermal, you can generate electricity, you can then generate UV lights, which feeds plants and all that sort of stuff. So it's possible. So there could be a possibility that there's undersea life as well, which we've often touched on, which makes more sense than underground chambers, so to speak. But because under the sea there, you got access to all the resources. You got water that you can separate salt from and have drinking water. You got thermal down there as well. You could tap into the thermal stuff by drilling down and have endless power pretty much from the earth itself and all that sort of stuff. And you got fish, of course, food supply there, and you got seaweed. So yeah, most of our planet's water, and we don't even know what's in the sea. And we're finding new species all the time, right? And also we're losing lots of species. Anyway, better carry on, I suppose.
Yeah.
The UFO and alien question. The persistent legends of an unseen extraterrestrial influence. If we read the above again, many, if not all of the descriptions of the gentry and their typical behavior has remarkable similarities to the many claimed traits of reptilian entities, or as some researchers will argue is the case in mythical histories such as ancient Greece or Egypt, the gods. Even more intriguing, for example, When we take this last notion on board for a moment, they have a great interest in the affairs of men, even fighting among themselves about the fate of such. Like all walks of life, there are good and bad branches of these gentry families. And much is said likewise about the apparent royal/reptilian/extraterrestrial bloodlines that, admittedly according to some of the most outlandish conspiracies, reside all around the planet
Jesus
even
Christ
today.
was an alien.
Might, as truly bizarre as it sounds, this be a small interaction between these races? If for sake of argument we accept this is even remotely possible for a moment, is the encounter of Joe Simonton one with this unseen race of beings? The ones between our realm of existence and the spirits, God's, realm? Might they have appeared to him as he would have best responded for their needs as opposed to their true form, whatever that form might be? We will stick with the work of Valley for a little while longer, as it just might provide the overlooked but vital clues to not only the Eagle River incident, but the idea of intervention, whether from extraterrestrial or a hidden terrestrial influence, long throughout history. Before we move on, check out the short video below which looks further at some of these entities from Celtic folklore.
Of course, it could be a clever hoax again, and Valet got hoodwinked by it. Now, what did he say about this case? That it was
He thinks it was
intentional?
a genuine encounter, but he doesn't think it's an alien encounter.
Well, if they're not humans, it has to be alien, doesn't it?
Well,
in technical terms.
The thing is, Valley doesn't believe. He believes there's an intelligence involved, but he just doesn't like that ET word.
Interdimensional, what you would call interdimensional aliens then, because they're really not humans, so they've got to be aliens.
Hold on a second. Whether they're interdimensional or they're interplanetary, it doesn't really matter. Once they're here, they're physically here, aren't they? In this world. Do you know what I mean? If you can see them, and it's a solid structured craft, if it's picked up on radar, if there's landing trace evidence, then they're physically they're here. So I don't really care how they get here.
Maybe they're called ITs, not ETs, interdimensional terrestrials.
Wow.
Or inner terrestrials. Reptilians, which I didn't really wish-wash with too well because of David Icke stuff. Earl Grey's doing a particular case on reptilians, and he says it's looking really positive. He said there's PhDs involved and some trace evidence and stuff. So I don't know. One of you ever come and tell us about it? I said, oh yeah, I'm a wee bit skeptical about reptilians. I have to listen to what you got there before I believe it. But he reckons there's a whole group of people that can verify reptilians are visiting them. Whether it's interdimensional or from outer space, I don't know. Or underground. But yeah, like I said, you ever seen that time machine, the original time machine, where humans go underground? And they actually evolve into these reptilians that live underground, and they live off other humans that come from the surface. The H.G. Wells time machine, it was a classic. Better than the remake, anyway. The old version, 1966, I think it was. So could that be what's happened too? Like some humans may have gone underground and evolved different skin, where they have some scales. Or a different branch of humans. It's possible. They may be living in the lava tubes. So. They may be living in the lava tubes and figured out how to build a secure shelter around, because you can actually obviously control the flow of lava with certain elements out there. I think I looked into it, the melting points of certain things where it could redirect lava streams and stuff like that. But I suppose you could do it with force fields as well, really. Electromagnetic energy, if you had enough of it. I suppose if you tapped into the core for the energy, you'd have unlimited power, really.
Folklore.
Ken's asking. Oh,
right. We got to the end.
now Ken's asking. See the stats for the environment whilst all being in lockdown. There's interesting stuff going on, actually, Ken. There's been several species that they thought were extinct that have been sighted and photographed, and now we know they're not extinct. And this has all happened since lockdown. We've got a place 40 miles from us called Llandudno, and they've got these mountain goats there on the arm, the Great Arm, Llandudno, and they're wandering into the town because there's no people about. So they're just doing what they want, and I think it's fantastic. To be honest, it's good to see that kind of thing. You know, our demise is their fortune.
I'd say the rats would take over eventually.
Oh, yeah.
The birds, like a Hitchcock movie. Let me just select all that sucker and see how it goes. And that's a disclaimer. There, I've got it all queued.
Obscure but intriguingly significant links. Valley states that according to the military analysis carried out on the pancakes, the wheat used was buckwheat. Given the comparisons we have made with the Celtic legends, around Brittany specifically, it is interesting that Valley notes one of the legends of that era involves a deal involving buckwheat cakes. What Valley also draws attention to is the notion that up until around the mid to late 1800s, interaction with humans and these gentry were relatively regular. However, certainly as the 20th progressed, sightings and interactions with them became less and less. Did these gentry suddenly die out? Or did they retreat even further into the shadows? And perhaps more specifically to our article here, are they responsible for at least some of the UFO sightings from the mid-20th century onwards? Are many of the UFOs, and more specifically their occupants, the latest form which the gentry have decided to take? One that is fitting for the modern age. While that is, of course, pure, rampant speculation, it is certainly a possibility. As Valley says, people in the modern age are so busy rationalizing the dreams of other people that they themselves do not dream anymore. Nor do they read fairy tales. Indeed, although many of us will not think of it now, food, and more specifically the giving and sharing of food, is a key part of the ritual that has often been held to symbolize, if not to constitute, a union of a very sacred kind. Perhaps another example of this, and how it ties into the incident of Joe Simonton, is the account of Lot and the two angels in the Bible. Lot must prepare unleavened bread using no raising agent, including salt, for them to eat. Clues to be found in the airship sightings of 1897? Before we return to the latter half of the 20th century and the early years of the 1960s, we should look at the famous airship sightings that fascinated much of the United States throughout 1897. We have examined these sightings before, and while we will not go over them again here.
Yeah, the 1897, we think that were human-made avionic guys mucking around in the deserts. But anyway, what was the rest of it down here then?
Just we can move on from that if you like, you know. You see, Valley's, he's making all kinds of strange connections.
You
know, for me,
which isn't science in my book.
Well, no. For me, he makes the subject more esoteric than it actually is. It's complicated as it is without Valley, you know, bringing in all this medieval and ancient stuff, you know, into the ball game. It's just confusing.
And there's one of those famous red barns.
Yeah.
I wonder why they painted it red. Red seemed to be a common thing for barns, didn't it?
I don't know.
I wonder what the reason for that is. Disneyland, what's this? There seems to be no evidence for this or the planned Disneyland miniature. What are they talking about there?
You see, now it's talking about Raymond Palmer from Fate magazine and Amazing Stories. And that guy was proper far out. He's the one that paid. Oh, what's his name now? To go to the Maui Island incident.
Palmer?
Kenneth Arnold. He paid Kenneth Arnold to go and investigate that case. And all ended in tears, didn't it? Yeah. Fate magazine and Amazing Stories, although he always went under a pseudonym, he never used his own name in his publications. They were pulp magazines. They're popular as well.
So he may have made money from this if he was swamped by journalists.
No, he never. In fact, he done himself a great deal of harm, you know.
I don't know, this one seems to have the feeling of Blue Chickens. Corey Good to me.
Yeah.
I don't think the pancakes low salt is, or no salt is.
You can't compare him with Corey Good in any way. He's talking about one single incident. Corey Good has made a living out of what he's doing. He's still doing it to this day, and he's still got his followers. You'll have more than we ever will. And he's completely concocted the story, an ongoing one. You know, the 20 and back stuff that guy is a disgrace. This guy, one event, no, never made any money from it. In fact, it just caused him a whole heap of problems, to be honest.
Well, he's saying he spent $100 on tests, is it? So he's talking about tests here. Who's talking about Keyhole, is it?
Yeah, Keyhole.
I'll just read out some of that.
In his defense, Kehoe would state that his response, or lack thereof, was mainly down to Carter sending the pancake for analysis without first notifying NICAP of his intention to do so. Perhaps more importantly, though, was his speaking of the incident to the press before speaking to NICAP. He would also state that such mundane things as costs for tests to be carried out, most of which were in excess of $100, which in 1961 was a substantial amount, also added to such delays. Whichever side is closer to the truth on this matter, it is a demonstration of a lost opportunity. One to analyze the substance independently, and without the involvement and possible influence of the United States Air Force. However, rather than peg Carter a maverick for his handling of the Eagle River case, the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, APRO, would show a much more favorable attitude. According to APRO, the case deserved a thorough investigation. An indigenous alien race, or humans throughout the universe? Perhaps above all else, what was the purpose of the meeting? Was it literally a need for water? What would they have done had Simonton not had any water to give? Perhaps, and again assuming for a moment the undoubted authenticity of the incident, the fact that the occupants seemingly knew that water would be on Simonton's property is also a telling clue. Although
He's
he was
surrounded
talking
by
about the
water.
aforementioned airship sightings of the late 19th century, Jacques
I don't
Vallée
know.
would make an interesting point about such incidents in his book Dimensions. He would state that it should not be overlooked how the aliens actually spoke perfect English. And while there was no verbal communication between the occupants of the Eagle River incident and Simonton, there were the gestures made to him by the visitors of a drinking motion.
I think it's a lot of porkies myself, this one. Because if you look at the area, it's surrounded by Great Lakes as well as lots of waterways, which you saw on the map here. Absolutely full, you know, you got the waterways, but you also got fresh water all around, you know, you got the big lakes. Why would they simply go to a farm and ask for a thermos of water?
Unless it was a deliberate attempt to make some kind of contact, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem to add up in any way, does it? And
water all around, you know.
There's not much correlation to other
rivers,
close contact CUV events.
Plenty of farmland to grow wheat as well. Crazy story though. That's one crazy story. There's wheat there. So they call it buckwheat. Let's find out what it is. Oh. Damn keyboard. I think it was buckwheat, wasn't it? I have to go find it. See if it comes up. Oh, I spelled it wrong. There we go. Nutrition facts. That kind of looks like porridge to me. Okay. Go away. Buckwheat has become popular as a health food due to its high mineral and antioxidant content. But has it got salt in it? That's the question. China, Eastern Europe. Calories, proteins, sugars. Have we got salt? There's no salt listed.
Paul, it doesn't matter how hard you look, I can tell you now. All natural food stuff have salt.
Starch. I reckon the story's bogus though.
Okay, so do I. As it happens. But there's only one thing. If those tests could be confirmed to me, then I might be forced to change my mind. But as it stands now, it's getting 2 chickens. 2 sheep, actually. Sorry.
2 sheep. You can't add chickens.
I'm
not
even going to throw in.
He was a chicken
No,
farmer.
I'm not even going to throw in a single chicken. And the only reason it's got 2 sheep is because of those tests that were carried out.
Called in India.
But I don't know. I can only come to the conclusion those tests were skewed somehow.
I think it doesn't have any salt in it because they're talking about adding salt here in the ingredients.
No, adding it to taste. It will not be. There's always natural salts. You will not get 0 salt in any foodstuff.
I want a PhD to tell me that.
Wow.
Trace amounts, it said when we looked at it last time.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe the press didn't pick it up.
The Kings come up with a lot of videos to making stuff with buckwheat, but not actually talking about it.
Yeah, that's what I
Comparison
found as
of
well. A
salt
whole of
requirements.
that's not good.
Let's see. It's talking about buckwheat plants here, so this one might
Well,
be.
listen.
You listen. It's a book. It's a book. A
Yeah,
comparison
I
of
know.
salt requirements for young and for mature
That's not good
buckwheat
to
plants.
us.
Yes, it is. Of course, it is.
What you need to do is type in buckwheat salt contents.
No, we won't know if the plants suck up salt.
Does buckwheat contain salt? It does.
Yep. It's talking about the growth of plants and salt. There'll be lots of reading.
Yeah,
Potassium.
it's not going to happen.
Sodium. Test of 36 different proportions of natural nutrient salts showed that the best growth of wheat wheat tops was produced by a solution containing 3 salts in the following volume. So they did have salts, but what kind of salt are they talking about here? Magnesium,
Salt is salt.
potassium. No, there's potassium, there's sodium, and there's magnesium salts. This is all the scientific stuff coming through here. So there's definitely salts in it, but when you said no salts, obviously it should have 3 salts in it, being buckwheat, according to this document. It's in the plants.
Yeah, look,
Interesting.
just go into this quickly now. Suzanne's left the link there, okay, and she's tagged you in it.
Ken's given us some donation again, is it? What's that? What's that a picture of? Roll of banknotes. It hasn't beeped
looks
yet.
a type of salt to me.
That's got $ sign on it, isn't it? I don't know.
It doesn't matter. Thanks, Ken.
What's this one?
Click the link.
I'm not going to click it. I have to right click it. We got the dance now again. It finally showed up. So we're finished with that article now, are we?
Yeah, let's do with it. I'm sorry about the damn thing up.
Yeah, well. You can see why Mick West is skeptical, when you get stories like that. But which foods contain salt? Yeah, we know it contains salt, but whether it's post or added after processing.
No, that's not the point. Every food contains a natural salt, and the test established there was no salt, including no natural salts. So, I haven't seen the results of those tests myself.
See, low in salt.
I'd have liked them independently verified before I can actually believe there was something to that case myself.
Yeah, we're talking about 1960 testing as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't believe it. I think the guy, but what's his point of making a crazy story up like that, though?
Yeah, I don't know.
Motive?
I think it could well he could well have had an experience, but of some kind. I'm just not sure. And again, it's single witness, isn't it?
It could add a mental condition, of course.
Yeah. You got to take that into account.
Okay, there he is there. And there's one of the pancakes. Doesn't look very nice. Of course, that's not the first time we've heard about aliens cooking food. That one also Valet seemed to like in South America, which I didn't like because it didn't make sense. They had tubes going to the front of the face mask where the nose is, which makes it impractical, right? You normally put the pipe for your air going into the back of the suit or the side of the suit, not straight to the nose.
Paul, you're thinking like a human again now, with human physiology.
Well, they were humanoids, weren't they? The aliens. And I don't think the aliens would be stupid enough to have a tube going straight to the front of their face on a suit when they're trying to work. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So I think that one was made up too, and the guy just got in so deep. What was the movie called now? I think
I'm kind of half familiar with that case. I do remember something.
I think there must have been
case.
something else that happened that he was scared of as a kid, so he made up this big crazy story to the parents so he wouldn't get told off. And it sort of went crazy after that point, and it sort of stuck.
But Ballet does seem to take a lot of these cases at face value.
Yeah. What was that called, that movie? What's that movie that was on last year? What's the title of it again?
I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
The one that said it wasn't really a UFO movie, but you had a lot of liberal writers saying it's the best movie on UFOs they've seen because it doesn't actually involve the standard UFO. It's involved a guy telling the story about his childhood encounter. What was that South American movie called? Martin had him on. Everybody had him on, and I thought this is. It got rebundled. It was actually put out in Spanish the year before.
No, I think that I can't remember the name of the documentary myself. Now I did watch it, to be honest, but it was quite. It was just a whole bunch of strange experiences that he had over a lifetime, wasn't it?
What was it called now? Passports? No, none of those. 2019.
Witness to Another World. Thanks, Sue.
Here we go. Witness to Another World.
Another World.
Yeah, I got it in the end.
Yeah, Sue got it first.
Well, a couple of searches and we got there, but the phenomenon, what was that one now? That's James Fox, isn't it? Was that the one?
That's James Fox. That's due out in September.
Yeah. So yeah, better see how good that's going to be, huh? September, that's not far away, really.
And what I've heard from the people who've actually had some screeners for it, they've already seen it. They're saying it's excellent. The only thing, he used third phase of the moon to help him promote it, didn't he?
Yep, that's a kick in the guts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know why a big person like him would be using them.
No, doesn't need them. It didn't. He's probably going to get more revenue out of it, but it hasn't.
Did he actually do an interview with Blake, or did they just steal it? You know, just take it and start blabbing about it? Because that's different, you see. But if he went on the show and interviewed, then that means he was okay with promoting on their show, you see.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, you know.
Okay. So that's a foul in my book.
Yeah, just have to pop to the toilet pot.
Oh, not again. Yeah, some good paintings. I wonder who paints them. Not Martin. He paints UFOs. Martin Willis. Okay, let's read out some of these crazy ones.
The 1978 Jan Wolski is also interesting, as he also described Oriental features on the apparent alien occupants. However, he would state the skin color to be a distinct green. While this sounds quite bizarre at first, there are many cases throughout history of similarly colored aliens. After all, the phrase, while largely a tongue-in-cheek insult, little green men instantly comes to mind. There are also examples such as the Woolpit children whose sudden appearance even appears in the English official records. Official records of George Washington also speaks of green-skinned warriors. These would assist him during his campaign at Valley Forge against the British in 1777. A truly baffling.
Yeah, so that's what I've already covered, called Green People. I wonder if we can find it. Green People. Up the channel. Green People. Well, not in the top list. Even though I put the Out There channel, I couldn't have spelt it wrong, could I? Green People, it should be coming up in the list. Oh, here we go. On number 3. On the video list. Not number 1. They put, I don't know who that is. But they beat me. But that talks about the Woolpit case. Let's see, does it go to the right place? No, it does too. And there's also one called The Blue People. If you've not listened to those episodes that I produced, they're well worth having a listen to. Green People. What's going on here? It's taking slow suddenly. And there's the Blue People up here. It's obviously put up a playlist. It's found my playlist. Amazing. Is it going to post it? Or is it too long? Why is it not going? Too long. Damn stupid thing.
Ah, never mind.
Let's try that again. Why do they have a limitation on comments if you're the owner? There you go. Oh, looks like it got added on, did it? Oh, it looks like it's still clickable though. Oh, you can find it if it doesn't work. Yeah, so where are we going to next? Did you post another link?
Going to your place, Kaikoura Mountains incident, New Zealand.
And where is the link? Did you post it?
Give me a chance. Give me a chance.
Okay, you haven't posted it yet. So
There
what's
we
the
go.
people on the side saying? The CPU is going crazy.
Just laughing at us as usual.
Yeah. Is it a salt shaker?
It's a salt shaker. I did tell you.
Did you? Well, it looked like an S or a dollar sign there, so. So, how are we going for time? 2 hours and 10 minutes.
That's not bad.
On time. So you got 40 minutes to finish this last one off.
Only 40 minutes.
Yeah, 40, and then we're out to 3 hours.
Yeah,
15
we can go a little
minutes.
bit beyond that if we need to, don't we? Can't we?
Mm.
But yeah, okay, no problem.
Kaikoura Mountains. That's where one of my friends was hunting at the time and saw a sphere, well, Earth-like. He said it was an Earth-light zigzag down the valley, and all the creatures went silent in the forest.
Oh.
And then it went upwards and out the valley, and then all the animals come alive again. So yeah.
He might have explained it away as Earth flights, but no, what he's explaining there is classic UFO sighting.
Yeah.
Earth flights are very dodgy signs, you know.
What was the one I was listening to yesterday? Was it the Renderson Forest link? I posted it on Discord, and you gave it to me. It was the best version of, the factual story
Halt.
of, the first factual version I've heard ever. Really, cut out all the BS.
Yeah.
I'm
Paul,
surprised you
that's the
didn't
best
bring that up.
interview.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't bring it up today, actually. But you can't play it.
We can look at it, but we can't play it. You see.
Yeah, I know, we're stuffed.
That's the problem.
And he won't come on our channel to talk about it.
Yeah, but it was. I found them extremely sincere in that interview, to be honest.
Yeah, there's some stuff he said there I didn't hear about. He talked about a woman also got affected by the UFOs and was airlifted out or something at the beginning of the story.
Yeah, but you know what you were saying about the rabbit holes, and some experts said that they weren't symmetrically perfect. Well, I'm sorry, but they were taken by army personnel. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they're gonna make a mess of using a tape measure. As for the guy who was a warden, who said they were rabbit holes, well, that was pretty impossible because the scratchings, because they were too deep for one, and the ground was frozen over solid.
Well, if they're scratching into the surface a wee bit to try and look for roots. When I saw that photograph, you look at the photograph and the measurements they took, that wasn't symmetrical though. But anyway, that's another UFO case.
Yeah,
not this one.
Yeah, but Paul, apparently the measurements made it symmetrical. The angle of the photograph could make it. You can't take measurements from a photograph, can you?
I'm pretty sure he had it written down. There was something talking about that was different to what was written in the notebook to blah blah blah. I can't remember all the facts now, but yeah, all the skeptics were critical of it all.
Yeah, it's a fantastic interview.
But yeah, it's the first-hand account from the person that was actually there, and he said that the Warren guy, what's his name? Larry the Liar.
Yeah, Larry Warren. Yeah,
was definitely
the Hell's Angel.
Was never nowhere near the site.
No, but what happened there? He'd heard all the scuttlebug, and then he put himself into. He was there on the base at the time, but he wasn't there at the time of the events. But he'd heard all the scuttlebug, and then so he put himself into the story, and just said he was there.
And he's trying to get people to. He's trying to bribe people to say he was there as well. According to this guy,
he was offering people money to confirm his story. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was that book that was written, Left at Eastgate, with Peter Robbins.
Yeah,
and he totally mugged Peter Robbins. He convinced him entirely of the story. And then, yeah, that book came out, which is a big, thick damn thing, which I've then fortunately got on my bookshelf, which is absolutely bogus. So Peter Robbins pulled the book. Told his publisher, right, no more copies going out. I realise now that I messed up, basically. Yeah. But you can still buy a second-hand version of the book on Amazon if you like Left at East Gate, but don't, because you're just reading complete fantasy. And then, of course, what's his name now? Michael Heseltine. I think he's from Yorkshire in the UK. He's taken him under his wing now, and they produced a documentary together called Gretna Green. Everyone knows in ufology, basically in the UFO community, everybody knows that Larry Warren is just a complete faker, and he's not a nice person either. He's threatened an awful lot of people with violence if they go against him.
Is he a boxer?
Yeah. Hey? No, he's an ex-Hell's Angel, and he has friends everywhere. And he'll have you done in if you don't believe the story and you don't buy the book. And you don't.
He sounds like one of these thugs on YouTube to me, actually.
Yeah. Well, he's ruined now. Well, Michael Heseltine has ruined his own.
Anyway,
Gary Heseltine. Sorry. He's ruined his own reputation going with
anyway,
this.
I've posted the link on the side there so you know what we're talking about. Go and have a listen to it. It's well worth a listen. I think this is probably the most credible account of it I've heard. And I always got bored with Redison Forest stuff with Linda Moulton Howe being involved and all that. But when I listened to this guy straight from the guy that was actually on the base, that's straight out the horse's mouth, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. You also have to listen to Jim Penniston and John Burroughs as well, because you have to remember now that it happened over 3 consecutive nights, and Charles Halt was only there on the one night.
Yes,
and
was,
remember now, you had Bentwaters and Woodbridge, which were twin sites, and they were harboring illegally, by the way, at the time, tactical nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
Now they call it the Rendlesham Forest incident because the forest lied between the 2 bases. So you see that the only contact was radio.
He told us some interesting bits here. We don't want to spend too much on this one because it's not part of what you're meant to be doing today. But they actually took imprints of. He took plaster imprints of the 3 things, and he gave. Hang on, shut up. And he gave each different guys one of the plaster casts and said, hide it so they don't get all the evidence. And he actually moved houses and was put inside a box. And that was put inside another box, and that was packed away in the cargo hold to be shipped to the other place. And it never showed up for months, many months, he said. And when they got the box open, it wasn't in the box anymore. So someone obviously was holding it up, searching the boxes for what they were looking for. So why would they want the plaster cast, the government? Why not just ask them for a copy of it? They could easily do it with laser scanning as well. But also he said there was 3 UFOs, not 1, and they were triangle shape as well. One shined a beam of light down into the forest, and he said they were well aware of what the lighthouse looked like. They saw it every night there. He was like the chief police officer, wasn't he, of the military base, wasn't he?
Who now? Charles Halt?
Yeah, wasn't he like the chief policeman?
No. He was deputy head of
security.
He was on the Bentwaters side. No, he wasn't security. He was second in command of the base, Paul.
I thought he said he
He
was
wasn't a
in charge of
no,
security.
he had nothing to do with security. He was much higher up than that.
Because he talked about the back roads and stuff, and police officers he sent there to maintain it and stuff.
Good God, no, he was much higher up than security. In
What
fact,
else
he was
did
in
say?
command of the base at the time.
Yeah.
Because his superior wasn't present.
Anyway, his account there totally destroyed a lot of the skeptics, saying it was a lighthouse, about the colour of the beam and all that sort of stuff. He knew lots of information there on that interview. And of course, obviously, the skeptics always ignore eyewitness account, right? But what's interesting, though, he talked about tapes as well, and talked about he made a statement on a tape, and people were saying there was more information on the tape, and they said they're getting it mixed up, that he actually did a dictation on another tape, and that's the extra audio. But yeah, also he duplicated it from tape recorder to tape recorder through the speaker and then the microphone next door to it, which ain't the best way of duplicating it. So I don't know what quality of the recordings are out there, but the original one got taken away, didn't it? And I'm not sure if it got returned or it got lost or something. I can't remember now. But yeah, you have to re-listen to it. It's one of those interviews where you need to listen to it a couple of times to get all the details on it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was doing it while I was sort of semi-tired at night time, and I thought, well, this is interesting. I thought it was going to be typical stuff again, but it wasn't. But he talked about that. He talked about. He talked about. Was it Jim? What's the other guy's name?
Jim Peniston.
Yeah, a Peniston guy. Yep. He talked about his zeros and ones, and he said it'd be interesting if they can get him in, and still remember the zero ones in his head, because he said he couldn't get it out of his head. So it'd be interesting to see whether he can write it down, remember as much as possible, and then match it up with the diary. To prove that he's
Paul, but you have to understand that those zeros and ones, all that stuff came out under regression. He didn't remember that naturally.
Oh, right. So yeah, he didn't seem to plug that 0 and 1 business himself, did he? On the interview.
No, do I? No.
He wasn't saying whether it's true or not. He was just saying it'd be interesting to see if he can recount it straight over his head again.
Unfortunately, to some extent, Halt has fallen out with Peniston. Peniston's fallen out with Halt. Burroughs has fallen out with Peniston. Burroughs has fallen out with Halt.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. And this is what happens with a lot of UFO cases.
And then you have someone. Yeah. Another thing he said that was interesting.
Go on.
Yeah, another thing he said that was interesting, well, I remember, he said that it was like it was dripping stuff off it, like sparklers, one of the craft. And then later on, he said it's more likely to be drones being sent off from the craft, which I thought was, that's interesting, because that's the first time that someone's actually made sense.
He didn't use the word drones. He used the word probes.
I thought he said drone. I have to listen to it again. But that makes sense, send out lots of little robots to collect information, probably to collect radiation, maybe, or the forest information, or who knows. Which makes more sense than actually losing molten rock, which means there would be physical evidence left behind, right? So...
Yeah, well, he searched for that and he couldn't find anything, which he said openly.
But yeah, it'd be good if we could cover that, I suppose, in details. Maybe you could transcribe his interview and read it out. That way we get around copyright business.
Okay.
There might be a way in doing it, but anyway, let's carry on with the New Zealand case here and add our little chat and the description after the show, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, people got to listen to the interview on the side here. You know what we're talking about then.
During Christmas and New Year, 1978, over the Kaikoura Mountain ranges, a series of UFO sightings captivated New Zealand and, ultimately, the wider UFO world. Not only did multiple people witness the sightings with their own eyes, but radar would confirm, in real time, that something solid was indeed over the skies of New Zealand's South Island. Furthermore, over the 10 days that the sightings played out, as well as confirmation from the ground were the sightings from experienced pilots who themselves were airborne and in the thick of the activity. Further still, on the last evening of the historic events in the early hours of New Year's Eve 1978, a professional cameraman would manage to record several minutes of footage of the bizarre glowing objects. Although the investigation by the Royal New Zealand Air Force would suggest the lights to be anything from unburnt meteors, lights reflecting from traffic, and even the planet Venus, they still hold files relating to the incident in their national
Don't forget about
archives.
Squid Boat.
Some of these files were released in 2010. Others, however, are still subject to classification until near the end of the 21st century. Hardly the actions concerning accounts of natural phenomena. In fact, as we will see a little later on, the New Zealand government's less than thorough approach and ultimate official verdict on the events was highly and publicly criticized by many in the UFO community at large, as well as other scientists around the globe. To say there were hints of a cover-up would perhaps be a very large understatement. Before we delve into the details of what is one of New Zealand's most intriguing UFO incidents, check out the short video below. It features some of the footage obtained by the aforementioned camera crew.
Okay, so I've actually got a video up on my channel.
Yeah.
Which you probably can play, because it hasn't come up with any copyright claims or anything. Off the Lights, Kaikoura.
Yeah, you need the K with the H's, Paul.
Yeah. Kaikoura. I think it's said differently now. They say it differently now. Out their channel. So it comes up in the search. It's only like a 10-minute video or something. Oh, great. Kaikoura.
No.
Oh, it's got a U in it. I missed out a U, but still. Why is it not giving my video? Nothing there, is there? Okay, let's try New Zealand. This is what I mean with Google. It should come up. Looks like it's been suppressed. No, not gonna find it that way. Oh look, it's doing some crazy shit here. Separating it out. It's still not finding my channel. Yeah, it did before. Why haven't I got a bookmark to it? YouTube. Let's see. This is where you have to type it in. Probably misspelled it, probably. That's not mine. Bloody hell. Yeah, what's the link to my channel, guys? Let's see. Let's get any video. I should bookmark it. Actually, have I got a bookmark to it? I think I have, haven't I? Is it on the main page? Out there. Twitter. I should have had it bookmarked. Crazy that I don't have it bookmarked. Just to make it easy. Stuff it. Get. Can't search it. Do it this way. There's Charlie. Comes up with a strange number, which makes it a bit harder to search, you see. Comes up with this crazy number at the end, which is your channel number. It doesn't actually put the out there channel on, and that's why it's hard to find it. Let's just add it on the end here, so it's always searchable. Well, that's ridiculously slow.
Yeah, but if you're going to play this, you should have had the link ready to go, Paul.
Well, I don't know. Oh, now we got it. There it is. So make it quicker this next time. Okay, Kaikoura. Don't tell me it's not going to find it. Let's see, spell it in it. Kai.
No, it's A-I-A-K. A-I-K-O-U-R-J.
Okay, let's see.
That's
So
it.
we got two here. We got Eyewitness News Special, which was talking about other New Zealand cases, which was quite interesting. A 6-minute one here. Copy link.
News reporter working for Channel O in Melbourne, Australia. And in 1978, in December, I was on holidays back in my homeland, New Zealand.
Reporter Quentin Fogarty may not have been the only visitor flying into town that day.
2 flight crews from a company called Safe Air had sighted bright lights in the sky. I had a phone call from my office back in Melbourne to say that they were keen for me to follow up a strong UFO sighting 2 or 3 days earlier.
Doesn't something always come up when you're on vacation?
When we took off from Wellington, the flight crew pointed out towards the right of the aircraft the lights of a town called Kaikoura in the distance. And then sort of above the town, we could see a row of lights would start as a little pinprick and then turn into a great globe of light, and then it would just shrink down again to nothing. I'd never seen anything like it before. In terms of my feelings, initially I was very excited, but I don't think at any stage I ever really felt that I was in incredible danger, although at times I did feel a little scared. David, the cameraman, was having great difficulty filming these lights, so we got very little footage. When we landed, the captain offered us the opportunity to go back on the return flight. The sound recorder she got off, she was so scared she wouldn't go back on the plane. I had mixed feelings about getting back on board the plane because it was out of my comfort zone at times. But then I also knew David had great difficulty getting good footage. And I thought, well, if they were there on the way down, they might be there on the way back. So I agreed to go back. We took off from Christchurch. The flight crew pointed out a bright light. In fact, I saw 2 bright lights off to the right-hand side of the aircraft out to sea. This light seemed to pace the aircraft. The flight crew are quite convinced also that the light was airborne and was moving and manoeuvred as well as moving. We continued to see the same sort of bright lights that started as little pinpricks and turned into great globes of light all the way back to the aircraft's home base of Blenheim. When we landed, I thought, I've got a world scoop here. And I thought, wow, this is going to be a big story.
As with any alien sighting, a common-sense explanation was soon offered up. Some said that the lights absolutely involved little slimy creatures, only not the green kind, but the pink ones instead.
It was proposed that a solitary squid boat had been there fishing off the coast of New Zealand. This could explain this extremely bright light.
The way that they fish for squid is each boat has enormously brilliant lights, up to 360,000 watts worth of incandescent lights. And the bright lights bring the squid up from the ocean up to the surface. It's difficult to know exactly what they saw and they filmed. It may well have been just a single squid fishing boat that was in close near the harbor there.
But investigator Bruce Maccabee finds the squid defense a little slippery.
The co-pilot's testimony clearly shows that it could have been a squid boat. It was moving rapidly. But of course, a squid boat is fastened in one position. It can't move very fast at all.
And don't forget, Fogarty says the lights were darting around up in the air, not down at sea level. The skeptics have an answer for that one too.
How do you mistake a light on the surface with something moving toward you and away from you and maneuvering with you? And the answer is, it happens. People, especially in aircraft, as the aircraft maneuvers and turns, will see a light moving on the horizon, not realize it's him who's turning and not the light.
So just what were those mysterious lights? Extraterrestrials or the next day's appetizer? That question remains unanswered, and it is still eating away at Quentin Fogarty.
30 years later, I still would love to know what we saw. And I'm hoping that one day, before I pass off the mortal coil, that somebody can establish whether it was animal, mineral, vegetable. Who knows? That would be nice.
But here's some frames at the end of the footage.
Yeah. One thing for sure, though, when Oberg gets involved, you know you've hit a nerve.
So there's a single frame where it does a figure 8, a single frame, which means it was moving really fast. 1 over 25 we use in New Zealand. So what's 1 over 25 of a second?
It's a 25th of a second, isn't it?
It's a very small fraction, isn't it? So, thanks for the other donation, Ken. Google doesn't make it easy to find my own channel, as you saw. Kind of looks like out of focus there, though. It has that sort of like cell look to it, which you get with the atmospherics and the lens. Something to do with the focal point, where it makes the ring pattern. But there is one thing. So it's actually not really exciting footage, but that's what they filmed. But yeah, everybody was glued to the TV when we heard the story, and we thought finally we're going to get disclosure. And no, everybody just seemed to forget about it. It got covered up with squid boats. So that was James Oberg did his job. He said the two radar hits were actually anomalies. So they picked it up in 2 separate radar systems, and he wrote it off that it couldn't be a real craft in the sky. But not only did they see it going up to Wellington, when they come back to Christchurch, there's the single frame, like a figure 8. If that was like ball lightning or natural, that's just fast moving speed. Of course, these TV camera crew, they had higher spec cameras too then, and I think they do like 4 times the frame rate. So those TV cameras run about 100 frames per second. So maybe that single frame was even better, like 1 over 100. But yeah, you can see it's not that exciting. I want to see a silver craft with a dome on top, like what they used to get, or people witnessed seeing,
Yeah, you're just not going to get it at night, though, are you? Nighttime sightings.
No. But yeah, that was it. You can go and watch it on your big screen again if you want to. But yeah, they had all the key players there. Maccabee, James Oberg. Who was the guy with the glasses? He's often on TV too, isn't he? What's that guy?
So what?
This guy, where is he?
30 years later, I still would love...
We'll see a light moving on the horizon.
Who's that? That's not James Oberg. That's the other science guy, isn't it?
No, that was Oberg.
Is that Oberg there?
I think
so.
It is. Move it on a little bit, because that Oberg definitely showed up there.
Unless they've interviewed him years later, because where is it? Mr. Squidboat man, where is he?
Oh no, that's not Oberg.
No, this one's Oberg for sure, with the long hair. Where's he gone?
That's Maccabee.
Yeah, he's here somewhere. I just can't get him in frame.
Mm.
We'll just play it again.
Slimy creatures, only not the green kind, but the pink ones instead.
It was proposed that a solitary squid boat had been there fishing off the coast of New Zealand. This could explain this extremely bright light. The way that they fit.
There he is.
Oh,
So that's Oberg, isn't it?
No, I don't know who he is.
Oh, okay. Have I got it wrong? So who's he then?
Yeah, I don't know. I've not.
That's got to be Oberg in the younger days, surely.
No, it's not. Oberg wears glasses. Let him go. Let that Zen Paul.
Each boat has these enormously brilliant lights, up to 360,000 watts worth of incandescent lights, and the bright lights bring the squid up from the ocean up to the very surface. It's difficult to know exactly
There's
what
no
they
name
saw in the film.
on it, so
may well have
what
been
they
a
normally
single
do.
squid
It's not
that was in
Oberg.
close near the harbor there.
But investigator Bruce Maccabee finds the squid defense a little slippery.
The co-pilot's testimony clearly shows that it could have been a squid boat. It was moving rapidly. But of course, a squid boat is fastened in one position. It can't move very fast
I think
at
they
all.
just
And
say
don't forget, Fogarty says the lights
skeptics.
were darting around up in the air, not down at sea level.
Yeah.
The skeptics have an answer for that one, too.
How do you mistake a light on the surface with something moving toward you and away from you?
So you're ringing that's
And the answer
Oberg.
is, it happens.
That's
People especially in
Oberg.
aircraft, as the aircraft maneuvers and turns, will see a
Who's
light
the other
moving on the
guy
horizon,
then?
not realize it's him who's turning and not the light.
Oberg
So
would
just
never
what
have
were
long
those
hair.
mysterious lights? Extraterrestrials?
Oh, I don't know. It looked like the same guy. We need a poll on
No,
the
it's
side,
not.
guys. Do you think that's the same guy, but over different years?
No.
1970
That's,
to 2000.
That's 1,000,000%. It's not Oberg. Different bone structure.
I don't know. I always thought it was Oberg. Because he's talking about the squid boat. Both of those guys are talking about squid boat.
Yeah, he hasn't had as many pies as Oberg either.
I don't know if we can save the image and see if we can search
Oh,
on
it doesn't
it,
matter
maybe.
about that, Paul. Come on, it's a UFO case. It's not a who's who.
All matters. So, anyone out there know who he is if he's not Oberg? Well, we'll find out, because it's important, because he's talking about bloody squid boats, and it's not squid boats, we know that much.
I know.
Let's see, once we got the image, we can actually do an image search on it. Need Google images. Let's see if it actually picks it up. It may not work, of course. Video quality, maybe. Okay, so we need to click, where is it, search? Oh, where's the search thing? Oh, right, you gotta get images.
Yeah, that's
there.
it.
And then you gotta drop it on. See what we get.
Yeah.
Let's come up with something. Senior. No, he's not recognised. He's not in any of those faders.
No, I think he could be some local obscure debunker. You know, he sounded American, didn't he?
Yeah. So he didn't recognise the face. Google, you fell. The government got better facial recognition software. Yes, even putting in UFO there, it's not come up. Oh, well, stuff, yeah. We just have to debate who it is. Go away. Anyway, you can watch that on the side thing. We better get back to the original story, I guess. That one, go. Where did we get to? Below this one, was it?
Yeah, go on.
Oh no, that was after this.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was here, down here, where we got to. Oh, too much. Oh, well, looks like we got some videos that don't exist anymore there too.
Moving more than 10,000 miles per hour? As the crew of a Safe Air Ltd cargo plane navigated their Argosy aircraft over the Kaikoura mountain ranges below them on the evening of 21st and into the morning of December 22, 1978, they were suddenly beset by strange lights navigating their way around them. Shortly after midnight, Captain John Randall would report a number of white lights over the Clarence River to Wellington Control Tower. They would confirm the sighting on radar shortly after, stating there were 5 objects that were unknown matching Randall's sighting. At around 3:30 a.m. a second cargo plane, flying along the same route as the first, would also report strange lights to the control tower. Again, the radar at Wellington would confirm the sightings. This time, they would ask the pilots, Captain Vern Powell and his co-pilot, Ian Perry, to report further what they could see.
All squid boats.
The control tower would inform them of an object on their port side. Each of the pilots turned their attention to the window and were shocked at what they saw. Powell would report with a touch of concern in his voice, "Something is coming towards us at tremendous speed." According to the plane's radar data, the unknown object had moved over 15 miles in less than 5 seconds. Before what looked to be an inevitable collision, the craft veered off and was moving so fast it was leaving a tail behind it on the radar.
So that doesn't sound like a light.
Estimates would suggest the object was moving at an unbelievable pace in excess of 10,000 miles per hour. As the cargo plane continued on its way to Christchurch, one of the objects followed it for 12 miles over the mountain range. It would then disappear without warning or incident. Argosy plane. Reconstruction turns to visual documentation. By the time the new year was only days away, and with the encounter having played repeatedly on national news for the previous week, Channel Zero made the decision to prepare a feature piece of Captain Powell's experience. As part of this, they would send a reporter, Quentin Fogarty, and a small crew on one of the routine flights made by the Safe Air Cargo Ltd. Their main aim was to provide some footage as the background for their reproduction of events. As it happened, the cameraman, David Crockett, would manage to capture footage of the lights themselves. The plane, with Captain William Startup and Robert Guard piloting, would leave Blenheim at 9:30 p.m. on December 30th, on its way to Wellington. Here, it would pick up its cargo, and then continue on to Christchurch. During the stop, the television crew would interview Powell. They would also conduct interviews with many of the control tower staff and radar operators. It was shortly before midnight when the cargo plane left Wellington on its way to its final destination. The lights return. It was 10 minutes after midnight when both Startup and Guard saw several bright lights over the town of Kaikoura in front of them. As this was happening, Crockett, along with reporter Fogarty, were filming in the plane's cargo bay. As Crockett filmed, Fogarty issued the following statement to the camera: "We are now approaching the Clarence River where the highest concentration of UFOs was sighted." He would continue, "We are on the exact same route taken by Captain Powell when he encountered those mysterious objects." As Fogarty continued, "Naturally, we will be looking out for anything unusual," came the interrupting voice of Startup telling them to get up here quick. Outside the aircraft, several bright lights were again dancing around the night sky. Once more, the control tower in Wellington would confirm the sighting on radar. Whatever had happened in the days before Christmas was happening again right now. The incident would last almost an hour until the plane approached and landed at Christchurch. The lights would move around the plane and dart off at unbelievable speed. At times, they would disappear right in front of their eyes. As exciting, mind-blowing, and in terms of the footage taken, groundbreaking as the encounter was, it was still a terrifying experience. On more than one occasion a mid-air collision seemed inevitable. Above all, though, perhaps Fogarty summed up everyone's deepest fears when he stated to camera, "Let's hope they're friendly." Saucer-shaped, with a luminous base and a transparent dome. As the plane finally landed in Christchurch, the objects vanished from sight. Captain Startup would invite Fogarty and the camera crew to film the return journey. It was an invitation they would eagerly accept. At 2:15 a.m. on December 31st, the cargo plane left Christchurch on its way back to Blenheim. Only minutes after taking to the skies, one of the mysterious lights returned. Wellington Control Tower also picked up the object's presence. Crockett would film the object once again, stating later that it had a luminous base and a transparent dome. Fogarty would state to camera that the object was saucer-shaped.
We didn't see that on the video.
As the plane continued its journey, the glowing craft would keep pace at a distance of around 20 miles. When startup turned the plane slightly in its direction, the object altered its course also, maintaining the 20-mile cushion. Shortly after, a second object appeared, further back from the closest unknown craft. They would follow them for the remainder of the return journey. With less than 2 hours remaining in 1978, Crockett would board a plane destined for Melbourne, Australia. By the time he arrived, 1979 was in full swing, and the news of the sightings was making headlines worldwide.
So, a couple of things there. The reason we didn't see it on that video, Paul, was because the video wasn't running on that particular night, and it happened over several days, didn't it? Or was it weeks? Another thing that's interesting in this case is the lights just seem to blink out at times or vanish, however you want to describe it now. It's amazing how often that happens with UFO sightings. I seen a good video on the group the other day, and it was shooting from cloud to cloud, you know. It was almost like it was trying to hide behind the clouds, and it wasn't doing a particularly good job. You could still see it. And then it was up, it was down, it was always, and then you just when you're thinking it might have been a drone, it just blinked out, it was gone. I meant to send that to you.
There was people telling me that there was some witnesses to it that didn't make the news, but they reckon there was beams of light coming from these craft onto the sea, like they were searching for something. Maybe a downed UFO they were searching for. That makes sense because my mate talking about that orb that went down the valley, it looked like it was searching for something, right?
Okay.
But he wrote it off as Earth lights, and his mate told him to promise never talk about it ever again, so he never did. But why he told me, I don't know, but because I was probably interested in it. But he never told the guy's name. He just said, yeah, the guy he was with promised us not to reveal what we had seen that same period of time when it happened. Because they're obviously out there camping and shooting in the woods.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot to the story. It's not told.
Yeah. You see, and the other thing is, for every person that comes forward as a witness, there could be 5, 10 that don't. More.
Yep. Because I wrote about the jobs.
Oh yeah, I mean, even if you're not working in a high-profile job, you've still got the possible ridicule to contend with. You know, let's just hope. I think ufology's made a fair bit of progress in the last 2 years. 2.5 years. Let's hope now when another sighting like this does occur that a few more people will come forward, although I don't think the stigma has gone yet. I still think the stigma's there to a point, you know, and I think that could take a long time before it passes, unfortunately.
Worldwide. The short video below looks at the sightings, and the video captured by Crockett on the once-in-a-lifetime journey.
Well, we've seen it already.
Is there a connection to the base strait? Just what the lights over the Kaikoura Mountains in the final days of 1978 were is still open to debate. The information, footage, and official explanation for them were presented to Dr. Alan Hynek, a notable and respected UFO researcher. He was openly critical in his lambasting of those in responsible scientific positions, informing the public that the footage obtained by Crockett showed nothing more than natural phenomena, or Venus. He continued his criticism by stating they had taken this stance of misinformation, despite not bothering to speak with witnesses, nor investigate basic details, such as the time of the sightings, and the direction the footage was shot. In short, he accused them of grossly misleading the New Zealand public, and in turn, the entire world.
Yep.
By contrast to the official, and widely dismissed stance of the New Zealand authorities, numerous scientists and UFO investigators would assert the sightings were genuine and in need of further investigation. Aside from the quality of the footage, they would point to the number and credibility of the different witnesses. What is perhaps interesting is that despite the distance of nearly 1,500 miles, the location of the Kaikoura Mountains is almost directly in line with the base strait off the coast of Southeast Australia. The base strait has a long history of UFO activity and strange lights in the sky. Might whatever is behind the sightings over the base strait be the same as those over the Kaikoura mountain ranges? Wherever there is a mix of mountains, water, and UFOs, the question arises of the possible presence of alien bases. Or even a portal, providing cosmic access from Earth to some unknown part of the universe. Check out both videos below.
That's it.
The stories, accounts, and discussion in this article are not by publishing.
Yep.
So, and that's interesting. The Bass Strait, that's where Valentich disappeared, wasn't it?
Yep.
Are you eating, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
There's also a lot of sightings on the west coast of New Zealand, by the way. The opposite side of the island. Lights in the sky. Exactly the same as these ones here. You might be able to find references to them, but they weren't really well covered. They're like a couple minute clip on a news item. That people were at the edge of the coast there, and they saw the three lights in the sky zipping around. Usual thing that you hear about UFOs. Whether the USOs, I don't know. I'm not sure if I covered those ones, or I was trying to find information on, but it might be in one of my older videos actually. But yeah.
Yeah, but the history of the Bass Strait is very interesting.
This one, I would say, is probably one of the most legit cases, and it was sort of written off, really. 5 sheep.
At least 4.5.
5 sheep in it, and the ram to home it.
Okay, I'm not arguing with that. It's a good case.
So, bring up the charts again. So we're talking about 5 sheep being the most legit.
Yeah, we'll go 5 sheep on this one. Yep.
And plus a ram. Oh, not this one. Want that one. We want that one. The ram. Is it coming up?
You're busting the scale.
5 sheep and a ram. There we go.
There goes Mick. Looks like Mick's got wet, or James Oberg in this case.
Yeah. Go and get your
Hopefully
squid.
While he's there, you'll get torn to pieces by a squid boat.
Yeah. Was there more that you're going to put for this case at all?
There's additional information. I'll just have a quick check now where it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a sandwich handed to me, so I eat it while it's warm. I was hoping that you wouldn't hear me munching. Bill's always eating on live streams. While we do it, I don't get breakfast, and it's now lunchtime. I get looked after. I was just this morning thinking of Philly. What are we talking about? Protests again. We already lost our ads anyway. I don't know what we said. Oh, aliens. If we talked about alien abductions or anything like that, we'd lose the ads and have to request them again to be reviewed and get them back. I need a drink now. And I'm in a drink. What's this? Compelling of all UFO cases. Yeah, here you go. You're talking about the Australian guy.
In December 1978, several months after Frederick Valentic disappeared over Bass Strait after reporting a UFO, unidentified lights were reported in the skies above Kaikoura, New Zealand, by the flight crew of a cargo plane. The unknown lights tracked the aircraft for several minutes before briefly disappearing, and then reappearing elsewhere in the night sky. The crew described some of these unknown lights as being the size of a house, and others as small but brilliantly flashing lights. Over the coming nights, the lights would make a return appearance, and the Kaikoura lights would become one of the most compelling UFO cases of all time. The first sighting. On the night of December 21, 1978, the flight crew of a Safe Air cargo plane flying over the Cook Strait on the northern tip of the South Island of New Zealand observed unknown lights that appeared to be tracking their Argosy aircraft. The lights, which appeared to the crew as being the size of a house, while others appeared smaller and flashing brilliantly, tracked the plane for several minutes before momentarily disappearing and then reappearing in a different position in the night sky. The lights were also being observed on the ground. At the nearby Blenheim Air Base at Cloudy Bay, a Royal New Zealand Air Force, RNZAF, officer, Ian Uffindell, observed unusual lights in the sky. He described them in similar terms to the plane crew, one large and two smaller lights making controlled movements, flying closely together. He was convinced they were not aircraft.
There's Kaikoura,
At Wellington Air Traffic Control, John Cordy confirmed that objects appeared on his radar in the same area that Ian Uffindell had reported seeing the unidentified flying objects.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
so
yeah.
Planes are flying between those
two
locations.
The UFOs were observed by the flight crew in the air, by an RNZAF officer on the ground at a nearby airbase, and
so there's only actually a few months between this series of sightings and the disappearance of Valentic.
Oh, this is the west coast over here, opposite to Kaikoura, and they get sightings over there too. But yeah, Tasmania and the Strait of the Australian guy is over here between Melbourne and Tasmania.
Yeah,
so sort of lines up, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It lines up. Look, Kaikoura is there. If you go straight line, go straight to Tasmania. So there could be something in it. You know, the 37 parallel. I'm not sure what location that is, but there could be a parallel that runs right through there.
Yeah,
you have to look on Google Earth probably to find out what parallel it is. Let's see if I can find out. Yeah, carry on. You can talk while I'm looking up stuff.
Yeah, I think there were some pretty deep holes when we looked before. Oh, that Bass Strait, there was it'd be an ideal place to put an alien base.
Yeah. So that's 37, so here will be 45. We need the grid pattern of the globe, really. What do we call it? Something grids. Grid. Parallels. I don't know. I don't know what they call them. But it'd be interesting to see if it does run across the line there. A grid, parallel, globe. And of course, the minute field changes, it's all these lines here that we're talking about here on the globe, where it breaks it up. There's one there that might have information spread out for us. Okay, we got 2 small numbers on it. But you can see there is a line that runs just above Tasmania. It goes on to Wellington, the Cook Strait there. But what's that one saying it is? Can't quite read the fine print. We've got little numbers here. 60th parallel, is it? Just can't quite get it. What's that say there? 60 or 69 or 68? There's 0 parallel. 40 and 37. No, it's got 40. It hasn't got 37 listed. But yes, that's the way they carve.
But what I think you should be looking for is those trenches in the Bass Strait. I think that's maybe something that's worth looking at.
I don't know. New Zealand's covered by these trenches either side. Let's go out a wee bit. But they were saying that New Zealand's actually a lost continent, and they said most of it's under the sea here, which is what they're pointing out here. Which they say is Atlantis. Maybe New Zealand's part of Atlantis. So it's all part of this region here. Which would be the same size as Australia, but it's all underwater. Of course, this is all major fault lines, which would make sense for it to sink,
right?
Of
course, for the earthquakes you get there, yeah.
Yeah, remember they talked about Atlantis sinking? Well, it's right on the fault lines here, so that would make a lot of sense. But eventually they said New Zealand was actually wrapped on the coastline of Australia at one stage, millions of years ago, right, as it expanded apart. But yeah, it's all interesting stuff, but there could be something in it there. And there's a lot of quartz in New Zealand too, which we know creates a lot of these flying saucers paranormal accounts as well. And also a lot of water, underground water, which is also a energy conductor, especially if it's got minerals in it. If it's pure water, it's actually an insulator, believe it or not. Water is a really strange thing. Anyway, what do you want to say? We paused it here. You were going to say something else before I talked about parallels.
No, I was just talking about hell, what's happened here?
I don't know. It's working all right this end. Are you still getting corrupted screen at end? Bandwidth problems.
Have a look. It's going in and out. It's readable at times and unreadable at others.
But it could be my end rather than your end. Of course, it's a weekend where it's heavy loaded in New Zealand. And we only got one connection going out in New Zealand to Australia, and then it goes across to California, is it?
No, the computer's running fine on my end, Paul.
No, I'm talking about the internet bandwidth. Everybody's on it in the weekend, and it's maxing it out. Well, it's actually Monday here in New Zealand. So it shouldn't have been that bad, really, but maybe the businesses are all using it as well. Everybody uses it now because of the C-19 lockdown. everybody's working from home still. Apparently, what a lot of the office type admin situation, they're just rerouting the phone calls, which is also using the internet, by the way, to the houses, and they just act as call centers at home. But anyway, do we need to carry on reading this, or are we going to wrap up?
Airbase and were also tracked on radar on the other side of the Cook Strait at Wellington Air Traffic Control. But it would not be until the night of December 30th, 1978, that would make the Kaikoura lights perhaps the most compelling UFO case of all time. UFOs captured on film by Australian news crew. On the night of December 30th, Australian reporter Quentin Fogarty, cameraman David Crockett, and his wife, Nair Crockett, a sound recordist, were aboard another Argosy cargo plane piloted by Captain Bill Startup, who had 23 years flying experience and 14,000 flying hours, and his co-pilot, Robert Gard, with 7,000 flying hours under his belt. The trio were aboard the plane flying between Wellington and Christchurch for a follow-up story to the UFO encounter of December 21st. They would soon become the story. With the TV news crew and their equipment aboard the plane, the unidentified lights reported on December 21st soon returned. The pilot and co-pilot spotted unidentified lights near the coast, below the plane, and above the town of Kaikoura. The lights projected a beam down towards the earth, and then quickly disappeared. Wellington Air Traffic Control picked up the objects on radar. There is another target that just appeared on your left side at about 1 mile, advised Wellington Air Traffic Control. The Argosy's pilot and co-pilot were soon joined in the cockpit by the Australian camera crew. Captain Startup would later describe what they all saw. It was white and not very brilliant, and it did not change color or flicker. To me it looked like the tail light of an aircraft. I'm not sure how long we saw this for. Probably not very long. I did not get a chance to judge its height relative to the aircraft.
Where did we get to?
Yeah, the object then, gone too far. I don't know where you are now.
Nor do I. I wasn't paying attention. I was just listening to the stories I was reading, and then it flipped off. Did we get down to there?
I don't think we did.
There we go. We got down to there. Oh, you're no good, Robert.
Well, no, I can't see what you're doing on the sand, Paul. You're scrolling up and down, so I don't know where we are then.
The object then disappeared from view. It also disappeared from radar at Wellington Air Traffic Control. As the plane flew towards Christchurch, another UFO was picked up at the plane's 12 o'clock position. The crew saw it. Captain Startup responded to the control tower. We pick it up. It's got a flashing light.
The name's a classic.
He later described seeing a couple of very bright blue-white lights, flashing regularly at a rapid rate. They looked like the strobe lights of a Boeing 737. There were no other aircraft flying in the area at that time. Then, another UFO began flying in formation with the Argosy. There is a strong target right in formation with you. Could be right or left. Your target has doubled in size, reported air traffic control. The plane's co-pilot, Robert Gard, saw an object out of the right window. It was like the fixed navigation lights on a small airplane when one passes you at night. It was much smaller than the really big ones we had seen over Kaikoura. At regular intervals it appeared to flash, but it didn't flash on and off. It brightened or perhaps twinkled around the edges. When it did this I could see a color, a slight tinge of green or perhaps red. It's very difficult describing a small light you see at night, he later reported. Quentin Fogarty, from the cockpit excitedly reported that, I'm looking over towards the right of the aircraft, and we have an object confirmed by Wellington radar. It's been following us for quite a while. It's about 4 miles away and looks like a very faint star, but then it emits a bright white and green light. As the plane approached Christchurch, one of the UFOs tailed them almost until they landed. It turned with us as I changed course. It was making definite movements in relation to us, reported Captain Startup. When the cargo plane took off again on its return trip to Wellington at 2:15 a.m., sound recordist, Nair Crockett, was not on board.
David Crockett.
She had had enough of the UFOs. She was replaced on the return journey by Dennis Grant. As the plane made its way back to Wellington, the UFOs once again joined the plane. Cameraman David Crockett observed an object in the shape of a sphere with spinning lateral lines. Christchurch Air Traffic Control confirmed that the object had appeared on their radar, swaying continuously, for 4 minutes. This object moved in relation to the aircraft, and was estimated to be the size of a house. The crew then saw pulsating lights, one of which quickly descended, and then ascended once more in jerky movements. The plane landed back in Wellington without incident. The film footage recorded that night would soon make international headlines. But, despite experienced witnesses in the air and on the ground, radar confirmations at both Wellington and Christchurch, and the footage shot by the Australian news crew, many remained unconvinced that anything extraordinary had occurred over the skies between Wellington and Christchurch that night and on December 21st. Flying squid boats? Investigations by the Royal New Zealand Air Force, the police and Ministry of Defence claimed that what had been seen, filmed and tracked on radar were most likely squid boats in the waters off the coast of New Zealand. Other ridiculous explanations included car headlights and the lights of nearby towns reflecting off clouds. Dr. Bruce Maccabee, an optical physicist and former research physicist at the Naval Surface Warfare Centre, however, disagreed. He studied the footage filmed by the Australian news crew and found it to be authentic. In a paper published in Applied Optics, Dr. Maccabee debunked the flying squid boat theory and concluded that the footage was genuine. You can read Dr. Maccabee's analysis here.
Well, we saw that on the video clip.
As a footnote, the official investigations of the Kaikoura lights were declared top secret at the time and held in the National Archives in Wellington. They have since been released and are available online at Royal NZ Air Force Files for 1956 to 1979. Royal NZ Air Force Files for 1970.
I think I've got them on the hard drive here. They're pretty
The
horrible reading.
only thing is, they didn't release all the files.
Yeah, they said that on the first one.
Yeah, so
won't be released to 2100, is it? I think they said, was it? That's another 80 years.
Yeah, I thought it was 2150, but
all right.
You know, and even then they can actually extend that. You know, so it's it'd be good to it'd be lovely to see what they've actually got there that they feel they need to hold back.
Yeah. Well, that's it. We're finished.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
Okay. We got there, even though the computer was struggling at times.
Yeah, it was. Well, you can only deal with the tools that you have. So.
Yeah, software's changed, become more demanding, improved the quality. I suppose people didn't like the quality of Jitsi, so now it's transmitting more data. So yeah, and you can't read it sometimes. But we'll get there. It can only get better and not worse, hopefully. So yeah, I'll just say thanks everybody for watching. Did we actually hit double figures today? I wasn't sure. I don't think we did we?
I see 9 at one stage, but I don't follow that too much.
No. So good night. Yep, and Ken's got his name and headlights 4 times here for donating. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah. Very kind of them.
You can see our subs have been going up and down, crazy. I think we might have some haters that sub to us and then unsub to us to make it look like it's bad. And they just keep doing it each week. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We'll get there eventually. Our BitChute's dropped by 1, but it'll probably go up by 2 by the end of the day. Who knows? But yeah, you can't be the best UFO channel debunking, can you? No. So we need to play the end credits here. Good night, all.
Yep. Night, everyone.
Is it not? A bit slow. Good night, Shelley, Joe, Ken. Who else we got out there still? Susan.
Usual suspects.
Usual or unusual. Although Susan was an hour late to the party. And go and watch that Bentwaters interview now after the show. Well worth a listen. You have to scroll up the list to find it. In the chat list. End, come on.